This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remus.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Great to be with you again. We've got a really big show today. I'm fired up for it. Of course, Remus is enjoying a well-earned week of holidays with his family. Hope he's having fun, whatever the heck they're doing. I'm sure he's got a lot on his plate. And obviously, Connor's with me throughout the week. Did a great job of producing CFL 110 this morning with Jeff Hamilton, and we'll be chopping it up with me all week long. We'll have Connor on the program later on today. But I promised this yesterday, a very special guest will be joining us for the first hour of the program, long-awaited TSN 1290 Hall of Famer himself, Matthew Leibl. So I'm going to get right into it. We've got a lot to talk about. I do want to remind you all, we're going to get to Blue Jays. We're going to get to Bombers. We're going to get to Jets. We will have Murat join us a little later on in the program, though, in the second hour. And Murat's got a really interesting new piece at The Athletic. He crunches this and does it each summer, projecting the Jets opening night roster in 2026, but also 27 and 28. So we'll probably talk a little bit more about the 26 version, but also get into the lines of thinking and the changes that could inevitably coming to this organization, over the course of this season and into, the next generation and the next core, if you will, of the club. So we're going to do that. We're also going to check in with Amber Marr of Sport Manitoba. Big week over at Sport Manitoba, sort of the pseudo home of the Sea Bears throughout the week. We'll talk to her about something if you got a young kids between 7 and 10, they're doing a camp in support of kids sport with Nick Dembski at Princess Auto Stadium. Really cool opportunity for young kids. So we'll tell you about that and more coming up. And we'll also get to some cool bet lines and picks. So this is going to be a really, really fun show. Do want to thank all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at CoolBet present CFL 110. That is up on the podcast, up on YouTube right now. Great hour with Hammer this morning, chopping it up with him. And speaking of CoolBet, Thursday morning, 10 a.m., Pat, Jake, Connor, myself, we're going to dive into our best bets for NFL futures this year. Hit the divisions, win totals, award winners, Super Bowl odds, all of that stuff. One of my favorite shows of the year. So that is 10 a.m. on the channel on Thursday morning before the regular show. Also want to thank our friends at Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, Manitoba Battery, Boston Pizza, Aikens Lake Wilderness Lodge, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, Travel Manitoba, the Gold Eyes, our friends at the Santa Lucia on Main Street, which is just reopened after that fire a couple years ago. Congrats to them. Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff. And, of course, we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Well, without further ado, let's get him in here. Returning to WST, the Rabbi, our good friend, Matthew Leibl. What is up? It's so good to see you and so great to talk to you, pal.
Andrew Paterson. Oh, what do they say? You are a sight for sore eyes, pal. We haven't been together in a while, like on the air, hanging out. We were just kind of chatting and we set this up. So thanks to Remus's family for taking him away, making some space and getting us reunited. Can I tell you something crazy?
Fire away.
It's coming up 10 years since I left TSN 1290.
What?
Look at I told you. I warned you. Don't say I didn't warn you. I gave you ample warning.
That is crazy.
What did I say? I didn't come on here to lie. I'm not the lying rabbi. I'm the sports rabbi. 2016, September, coming into the long weekend of September, which is a couple of weeks away from us today. That was my last show that Friday. And then I said Shabbat Shalom and waved off. And that was a decade ago. I have 2 children now who can ride bikes without training wheels.
Yeah,
how driving me crazy.
First and foremost, just
Wonderful.
off that, your lovely wife, the boys are doing well, and
yep,
are they in school now?
One kid starts grade 2, and one kid starts kindergarten. You love the names. Hugo is my older son, and you love Felix because you like to call him Junior Felix.
Junior Felix,
with a call back to the old Blue Jays. That guy spent a little time in the late 80s, early 90s, early 90s, maybe.
90s, I think.
Yeah, 90s. Anyway, so the boys are great. My wife Heather's doing really well, and that keeps me busy. And the work of the life of an independent traveling rabbi is busy too. So it's great.
Great. I mean, you always, even in the TSN days, were like the man for weddings. Is this is summer insane for you? Is it basically your every weekend you're somewhere? And it's not all here in Winnipeg either.
No, and there's some travel. I was texting you. The audience can hear this story. I've had a few out of town gigs, and one of them was a wedding in Mexico. Went out for 48 hours getting married. The bride, originally Mexican. So there was some special stuff there, but we went down there in early May. And as I'm coming back, I'm sitting at the bar at in Calgary at the airport. And we get to talking because we were watching playoff hockey on the screen. And my old job on the radio came up. Your name came up because the guy I was chatting with had played some junior hockey and he'd coach and he played university hockey. We were talking all about this kind of stuff, and he knew you. And then I was texting you. We were chatting. But so that's just an example. I was coming back from a wedding in Mexico that I went for 48 hours to do. And I get to do this. It's weird. The first couple who asked me to do a wedding, it was 15 years ago. And then it started with one wedding here, one wedding there. And I was on the radio for a bunch. And now it's like a dozen a year. Usually there's at least one Jewish person involved, but sometimes it's friends of ours. We went out to Lacombe, Alberta. If you know where Lacombe, Alberta is, Huss.
I don't know. I don't actually.
It's 20 minutes north of Red Deer. Shout out to the good people of rural Alberta.
Central, right in the middle.
Right there. Close enough that when I realized I hadn't packed a tie, I could drive to the Moors in Red Deer and buy a tie and make it back to the wedding in time. True story as well. But that was friends of ours. My wife's from law school. So we got to go out and do one in Lacombe. But there's all these cool stories, and it's love, and it balances with the fact that people call me for funerals as well. So I get, we've talked about this. I get the high end, I get the low end of emotion, and everything in between. A lot like sports. No joke. A lot like sports. There's swings like that for people. It feels a little bit different in comparison, I suppose, but it's still an emotional roller coaster.
You remember what they say about this business? Business is booming when things are either really good or really bad. And,
right.
I'll tell you what, right now, Maddie, things are really good, it would seem. Well, obviously, we're going to get to the Bombers. That's still a work in progress, to say the least. But just bring it back to Winnipeg sports for a minute before we kind of dive in and get your thoughts on a bunch of things. This seemed like such a special weekend. The Bombers and what they've done, listen, the on-fields, particularly at Princess Auto Stadium, hasn't kind of been up to the standard that they've set for the last number of years under Mike O'Shea. But the standard that the fans are setting right now, another 31K in the building, the greatest atmosphere for CFL games I have ever been in. And it just seemingly gets better.
And they lose, and they keep losing at home.
Yeah. Well, no, let's speak in the present. They just won.
But just imagine when they will.
They beat 0-8 Ottawa Red Blacks to get to 5-4. You are what your record says you are. Isn't that what?
But I'm just saying, if the fans bring it when the team isn't even winning at home, just imagine what it'll be like when they do win at home, which is going to happen. So, but yes.
But to follow that up with the Sea Bears winning the championship, and in my opinion, bailing out and maybe saving the CEBL, that outfit could not have looked more Bush League and embarrassing on Wednesday, with their championship game lasting all of 4 minutes and then it getting yanked off national television on both TSN and CBC without as much as a word from anybody at the league, and then coming back to Winnipeg with a record crowd of over 12,500 people in the most awesome atmosphere to see a team that was really counted out with all that adversity to start the playoffs, getting it done was just magic. And then what's happening at the ballpark, I mean, the Goldeyes run over the past 3 weeks has been historic, and they're packing it too. They had over 6,500 on Sunday afternoon for that game the day after the bark at the park and another big game. Like,
Okay,
I know it's summer and and the Bombers need to get it going, and we got Jet season coming up, but it's a great time for Winnipeg sports fans. And last weekend to me was right up there.
But listen to this, because I partook in a lot of this, and I have to be honest with you, Huss. When I was on the air with you, I watched every single thing. I know you still do, but I'm saying my wife, we didn't have to watch Vanderpump Rules, like, because or Summer House, you know, we were, or even Jeopardy, which I like watching. We were watching sports all the time, but ever since the kids came along, I don't have that kind of power because I can't say this is for work anymore. So I have to pick my spots. So, like, for example, last October,
such a cheat code back in the day. Eh?
Well, yeah, last October. Otherwise, I'd be like Remus, like hiding in the basement, pretending that he's in the washroom watching sports so he can get away from his fatherly duties. He's not here to disagree, but I'm telling you, it's the truth. We know it's the truth. But I feel bad. He should be here. But I'd say if he were here, so you can play it back, Reem. I love you. And so, like last October with the Blue Jays, that was on. You know, bedtime was suspended. Things had to change. And this happens with ebbs and flows and moments. But now I'm trying to get the boys to buy into some sports. And the Sea Bears and the Goldeyes that you mentioned, we should talk about them right here. So great. The Sea Bears and what that's done for young sports fans and getting them interested. Basketball moves at just, I love baseball, but basketball moves at a different kind of pace. And the atmosphere, I've been to a game last year with the family. I went to a game the last 2 years and then this year again, and we all went. They're hooked. It's just such a fabulous atmosphere. Kudos to the entire team from the top all the way down. I've been very, very impressed. I'm still debate whether I like target score. I've got to wrap my mind around.
I love it.
I know part of me loves it, but part of me, I just don't know. I just don't want to love it. I don't know. It confuses me. But I'll tell you, the moment I had at the Sea Bears game this year, we went to one a couple weeks ago where they lost to Brampton in the dying seconds, was just seeing some of the old people from the world, like Darren Bombing announcing.
Dude, he killed it.
He is amazing. I got to give him props because I connected with him, but I also know one of the guys, Chester, who's one of the in-game announcers there from when I hosted the Jewish Radio Hour in 2006, my first ever job on CKJS 810 AM, Chester Pangan. He's doing like in-game announcers. He's part of the crew there. And I saw him and I see Bombing, and Bombing is just, and the atmosphere is amazing. And then when they get 12,000 plus, nearly 13,000 for the one game final in a league that, like you said, should have been a best 2 out of 3, but they didn't have a big enough mop for the floor, I guess. Like what is that? Condensation. They can't, like, you're right. They bailed out the league, and what a reward for a team that has just gone like this, risen in popularity locally and giving another. So they're great. And then we went, and then my son Hugo and I went to the bark in the park with all the dogs at the Goldeyes, where they actually got shellacked that night, but yeah, they're playing great. I always have time for everyone involved with the fish. So, but all the dogs, which reminded me that last week in my place where I work, Simpkin Center, we had a bark mitzvah. No joke. We had a blessing of the animals ceremony, and anyone who had a dog or pet was allowed to bring them down here, mingle with our residents. It's a personal care home where I work, right on McGilvery, and we had like 30 dogs. And so I did a blessing for all of them, a little bit of a spiel, a little story.
Did you invent the bark mitzvah?
No. When I was training to become a rabbi 10 years ago, when I left the radio, our guy who taught us, we spent a week studying animals and the role they play. And there's a lot of stuff actually in the Bible, if people like it's trivia about all the things about animal cruelty and taking care of animals. There's a lot of examples, but he said, you should do a ritual. he tried to tell us that the ritual of the year was to do a blessing of the animals, where you tell everyone to bring down their pets. It's usually the dog people who get really into it, and you do a blessing of the animals. And I know other faiths do this too. It's not insane, but it was my idea to call it the Bar Mitzvah. I'm not gonna lie.
That's brilliant.
I've heard that somewhere before. Like, I didn't invent it, but to call it that, no, like, don't get me wrong for a second. Dogs do not have faiths. They are of all faiths. Right? They there's no such thing as a Jewish dog, a Christian. No. They're all faiths. So I didn't make these dogs Jewish. I don't want people thinking
they didn't have to wear yarmulkes or anything.
No, it was basically bark in the park, but at our place. And the Goldeyes did that. They had a great promotion. And look, for me, sitting outside at the summer and with my kid, trying to get him interested in baseball. But I'll tell you, teaching young kids the rules of baseball when they don't know it, sometimes you don't know where on the fly at a game. Oh, all he wanted was a free throwaway tennis ball from one of those ushers in in one of the on-field games. He was like, I'm not, where's first base, Dad? No, too much.
Hit the concessions, have some fun,
but
taking a great day. And,
but to your point is that, like, if you're a sports fan in this town, like, it's always happening. It feels like there's always something, and it doesn't just have to be the NHL, but if you've got a family like me, if you're loving it, if you're of any age, you've got basketball, baseball, football, soon you'll have hockey. Like, really,
women's soccer coming, in a year, which is pretty exciting as well.
The World Cup, having everyone watch the World Cup. Like, we still have soccer nets up on our front lawn that we got at Costco because the boys were just so geeked up during the World Cup. Though Hugo still chose Argentina over Canada, which I think was a bigger long haul. But I was like, dude, Canada's in this thing. What are you doing? He's like, no, Messi. I'm like, who's feeding you this information, man?
He's learning to be a front runner early. Where's he getting that from? No.
Oh, hey, whoa! You're the big Chiefs fan that's had to defend himself for the longest time. Like I know your history because we spent some time with
exactly
old Chiefs stories, but like front runner, never.
No, I never. Know. You're not.
Never. But apparently, my son is.
Listen, just before, because I want to kind of dive into specifically some Bombers and Jets thoughts and takes. Maybe we'll do that after a quick break. But while we're talking baseball, I mean, it's going to be real fun to watch this Goldeyes stretch over this next month. I mean, they've erased they were way back. Now they're in first place. They got another month to go, and we'll see for playoffs. But Matt, you are a man of faith. How much faith do you currently hold in the resurgent Toronto Blue Jays after the deadline? 5-2 last week against the Yankees and Red Sox. They open up. I can't believe, I was just talking to Dusty on the Lock Shop. The Rays are 35 games above 500. It's 75-50. 3 games in the Trop, 3 games in the Bronx, and then the final month of the season against a schedule of teams where nobody has a winning record. It's a 7-horse race for one spot right now. There are 5 teams within half a game going into tonight. So it literally is a 7-game race for one spot. Has your faith been growing in the Blue Jays over the last little while?
Oh man. I'll tell you what will do wonders for my faith, restore my faith. Take 2 of 3 from Tampa. Because
that would be huge.
Because what any Jays longtime fan knows is that in many seasons, in this very similar moment, Tampa sweeps them. Tampa just crushes them. Like that. That's how you can kind of tell. It's Tampa Bay, those series. I remember Deoner Navarro when he was on the Rays hitting home runs against the Jays before he became a Jay. Like, no matter where it was, Tampa, everyone would always say, even some years, you have to worry about the Yankees, you have to worry about the Red Sox, and then Tampa would sweep them 3 in a row or 4 in a row if they had a 4-gamer. If they take 2 of 3 from the Rays and then 2 of 3 from the Yankees, that's huge. I mean, this is right now. I feel what's really interesting about all the teams we're going to talk about today, they all, for me, have a real, like, in the present, this is the moment for them. I think the Bombers are in a season like that. Certainly, I think the Jets are in a season like that. But the Blue Jays, like, we know in Winnipeg what it's like to win something like the President's Trophy and then have an absolute collapse. For the Jays basically to have the World Series in their hands and give it away, which was so heartbreaking. And then to lose Bo Bichette and then to see Vlad become a complete shell of himself. Whew.
It's been a year since he has hit a homer at the Rogers Center.
Yeah, like what is that? And his October was magical.
Yeah.
And the fact that he has that in his bat and in his like the capacity to do that is amazing. The one thing I will tell you, as long as we have a healthy George Springer on the Blue Jays, and they are and like meaningful games in late September are there, he's just one of these. He's also a guy, I use the word magic or magical for a lot. Going back to the Houston days, now obviously in Toronto, and you saw last year, he's just, anyone who's ever played sports knows that it's rare, but there are these other athletes who are always looking for the moment, raise their abilities in a way that sometimes you kind of look at like, how is that possible? But George Springer, the moment finds him, he never shies away. He always delivers, and he makes the team around him better when that happens. Plus, I just want to see Dylan Cease like mow somebody down in the, like, I just want to see like, you know, like Kerry Wood, like 17 strikeouts, a playoff. Like that's in the cards if he makes it too.
On top of it all, we could have Schlittler Cease head to head on Friday in the Bronx. Like,
I mean, that's just a
Friday,
preview.
Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean that game, depending on what happens the rest of the way, I mean, that could be something the voters look at, because it's those two guys for the Cy Young right now in the AL. I mean, that basically is the matchup between those two guys. And
don't kid yourself, if the Jays make a push and get in, even if the Yankees have a better record, that helps Cease's claim. Like if the Jays miss the playoffs, there's a very good chance that he doesn't get the Cy, he doesn't get any of the consideration. But yeah, I just think that the Jays, I don't know. We can talk about it more if you want, but I'm surprised that they have struggled. It's so much of it is Vlad, right? Like, and there's injuries too, but to bring in a pitcher that dominant and still be, what are they, 4 games under 500?
Never mind just bringing in Cease. I mean, think about their offseason signings. Cease, 10 out of 10. Okamoto has been their best player. Tyler Rogers, unbelievable.
True.
Louis Varland's doing what he's doing after getting him at the deadline last year. Like, where would they be if they stood pat and just brought everyone back? I mean, well, we wouldn't be talking about a September where they could be getting back into it, but it's game on right now in the AL. I mean, partly it's because the AL is just so mid this year. I mean, you know, you got 5 teams that deserve to be there, and then all these other teams that are under 500 battling for that final spot. But man, what a difference it is from the old days of, you know, basically playing for next year in May right now. There is going to be a fun run, and it does start tonight. I see it. If they can go 3-3 this week, if they can get through this week, not losing anything to 500, I think they'll be in great shape moving forward after getting through. I mean, that would be 10-5, or sorry, that would be 8-5 in this 13-game stretch through the AL East, and then you move on to the rest of the schedule, and you know, see
the leftovers, the AL leftovers
against a whole bunch of these other
Cleveland
teams that aren't
Baltimore,
good.
Oakland,
I tell you what,
you
what, hang tight. We'll when we come back, we're going to be getting into Matt's thoughts on where the Bombers are at right now, and a look ahead to the 26-27 Winnipeg Jets, and of course what things will be like in training camp depending on what happens as WST continues right here, Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Hockey season's just around the corner, and that means we'll be getting back to the Winnipeg Jet lines for Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Clean Line is your residential and commercial plumbing experts in Winnipeg, along with heating and electrical services, and have been Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers for over 40 years, with fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. Just like Adam Lowry has the backs of his teammates, Clean Line has yours. Mark the number down, 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency service when you need it most. You can also check out more on all Cleanline services and make an appointment online at cleanline.ca. Big congratulations to Roberto and our friends out at the Santa Lucia on Main Street who battled back from the last 2 years working to overcome a fire and just had a wonderful grand opening on the weekend. Popped out and saw a lot of happy people in the West K area to have their Santa Lucia back. If you have not been there, certainly suggest you try it out. They've got amazing happy hour specials, promos throughout the week, and obviously all your favorites from Santa Lucia. So all of you out in West K or that go up and down Main Street, 1473 Main, Santa Lucia is back open. It was a great grand opening on the weekend, but now it is business as usual. Pop by and see him today at Santa Lucia on Main Street. And congratulations to Roberto and the staff on getting back open for the people of Winnipeg. Hey, got to thank our friends at Manitoba Battery. Big Bomber game coming up on Friday night. And, of course, Manitoba Battery. Hopefully we can get a couple new batteries in that Bomber offense and defense after last week's game. Of course, Manitoba Battery, proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, powering the Bombers this season. And, of course, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Manitoba Battery is your local option where you'll find the best in batteries for literally everything at the lowest prices in town, period, along with the best in customer service. So pop by and see them on Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive out in the south end of the city. And if you can't make it down, you can give them a call or order online at manitobabattery.com, and they can deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. For all your battery needs, save time, save money, shop local at Manitoba Battery with 2 locations to serve you. And folks, if you have a move coming up the rest of the summer, fall, or even into winter, you're going to need to check in with our friends over at Rolly's Transfer. Family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. If you check out their website at rollys.com, up at the top corner, you can click on Request an Estimate. If you've got a move coming up, hit that. And then make sure to put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving, what needs to be moved, and the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they've been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today online at rollys.com. All right, back on Winnipeg Sports Talk, the sports rabbi, our old friend, TSN 1290 Hall of Famer, Matt Leibl with us. And Leibs, I do want to touch on the Jets in a minute and get your thoughts. We'll do that just before we welcome Murat in at the just after the top of the hour. But let's get into the Bombers because it really is, to me, sort of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Like, we've seen some ugly performances at home this year. And like, frankly, a level of play that has not really been up to the level we've been spoiled with over the course of the last, 8 years under Mike O'Shea. And yet you look at the standings right now, and after that win against the winless Red Blacks, they are 5-4, 3rd place right now, fully with their destiny in their own control. But here's the rub. 9 games left, 2 against Edmonton, including this weekend, Friday night at Commonwealth, 2 against the Riders, 2 against the class of the league, the Montreal Alouettes. Let me take your temperature on the Winnipeg Football Club right now at the midway point of the CFL season.
Well, I guess you could go either way. There's great opportunity or there's great concern. I don't know. Collaros is back. They didn't look perfect against Ottawa, but you can just tell by some of the interviews after the game, right? They don't want to trash anyone on the other team, but it's hard to get excited to play a team like that. It is, like, even at home and even when you're not great, I don't think you get motivated in the same way. So while the schedule looks daunting, Huss, I think it's a better test for this team because they need to start getting up for games immediately, starting this week, right? Starting this week. That's like I was saying to you before. I feel like the Bombers are in the Blue Jays. It's all like What are you about to do? This game right now is your most important game of the year. Get in there. You got to play. For the Bombers, I feel like I feel two things. I feel like it's all about Brady Oliveira and what he and the offense has to run through him. At the same time, I don't know if this team can do it without Collaros, and I don't know if Collaros can do it. Like, he's right at the very, very end here. Like, his body. I mean, do we think he's going to be unscathed the rest of the year? A couple more months? He's got to make it to the end of the season.
Well, never mind that. I mean, anyone that was watching that game, no one was at that stadium. I mean, I thought we just witnessed
lost him again.
We probably said this a couple times, but
yeah,
the last of Zach. Like, every time something like that happens, you worry for the guy first. Never mind the team and what that means.
Of course.
And I think that was part of getting Drew Brown in the trade earlier this year, that they wanted to have a little bit more security at the quarterback position. So what happens last year didn't happen last year. It does feel, though, big picture for the Bombers. I mean, we'll see what they can muster up this weekend, and if they can kind of turn it around and be much better in the second half and, contend in the West. But I do feel like right now, this point in time, Matt,
yep,
is sort of the real end of that. Some people will call it a dynasty, going to 5 straight Grey Cups, only winning 2, whatever you want to call it. This incredible era, much like we'll talk about the Jets core and kind of moving on and changing.
Yes, you're exactly right.
Zach's still there. Stanley Bryant's still there. Willie Jefferson's still there. I mean, these are guys, Brady Oliveira, obviously. Specifically at the quarterback position, though, and this was part of the reason why there was the excitement of Taylor Elgersma. People were high, or were at least, on Drew Brown. I don't know where they're at right now. But everything changes when Zach Collaros moves into the TSN panel or whatever he's going to do afterwards. And it's hard to imagine. He signed the 1 extra year and he's playing this year. Hard to imagine that next year won't be the real turning the page. And you certainly hope they can have one great last run together. Certainly a lot better than the performances have been so far through the first 9.
But that's what I'm saying, is that I think they need to play great for both pictures. Small picture, obviously, because you want to compete this year, but I think you want that handoff. Like, Stanley Bryant is 40, isn't he? Aren't Stanley Bryant and I basically about the same age? I'm 41.
Yeah.
Stanley Bryant is 40. Willie Jefferson, I think, is 35, but he's still great. He's still incredible. But I think
incredible season for Willie this year.
If you want to connect, like, everyone talks, I don't think it's inevitable that if you have some kind of dynastic period of time, that you have to follow that with some kind of disappearing act. The Detroit Red Wings were able to be good year after year. I'd keep building on it. And they had core guys, but they were also able to transition too. I mean, they're not the only example. The winning now is also good because I think that becomes contagious. And I think that if they can the momentum maybe doesn't necessarily carry over into next year in terms of actual practical things you can see, but there's that winning culture. It's like you talked about, for so long, people have just come to expect a certain kind of winning culture. Look, for years, it was chaos for this team. I worked with Troy Westwood for the entire time I was on the radio. We're still until Troy went into the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame last year. I'm still super involved with them with Sport Manitoba. So I'm glad, as usual, you're doing amateur sports and you got them coming on. But the years that Troy was there and Milt was there, it was chaos. That was not a winning culture. That was a different coach. Like, after Cal Murphy, it was the opposite. Who will the coach be? Who's running the show? They had some good years with Kahari in there, but ultimately they would choke or it wouldn't work out. They had Grey Cup collapses, right? This is a team that Grey Cup collapses are still part of it, but the regular season, like, that kind of steady, strong professionalism from Walters O'Shea and all the way down, that's been there. And I think that you want to win and play that well to keep that in the building, to keep, like, if you've got 31,000 people coming, like I said earlier, and you're losing, you can keep them coming if you play like the way they expect you to play, hard, tough. And no better test than against Edmonton and Saskatchewan. Montreal, man, I hate Montreal. I hate Montreal in football and in hockey so much. Like, I love that city. It's a great city. Unless I try to talk French there, and then they're very condescending to me. They're very, very mean. I'm just trying to make an effort. Like, right? But man, Montreal in sports. I'm not happy. I'm not happy with them right now.
Of course, what?
For 2
Just
years.
as an aside,
Oh, yeah.
we should really we should do because I get thinking about this, all the old guys from the station when you come on and we start.
Would you call it the Hall of Famers? Yeah.
Yes, we need to get. Maybe we do something around the Heritage Classic this year.
Oh man. Oh, you know what? I've got some buddies. I've got a buddy for like, you can see on my this is my office at Simkin Center. And I've got, I don't want to have clocks there. I've got 3 maps of cities that are pretty influential in my life. It's like in the journey to becoming a rabbi. Winnipeg, obviously, Halifax, where I went to journalism school, and Jerusalem is pretty cool. When I was in Halifax, I made a really good pal who, in spite of all the things, he's a Habs fan. And he's been talking about coming to Winnipeg ever since the team came 15 years ago. It just hasn't worked out. He keeps having kids, I think, is part of the problem. But he's coming for the Heritage Classic.
Nice.
So I'm gearing up for this. I'm not usually the guy sitting outside and okay, I'll watch at home.
No, you're soft.
Is that what it's about? Is it about toughness and softness? Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah, I mean,
I can't just be grumpy. Like, I would rather be grumpy than soft about not being there. I'd rather watch at home where I don't have to wait in line to pee. It's not about being soft, man. It's about being a grump.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, listen, it's a bit of both. They're not mutually exclusive.
Whoa,
that's for sure.
I think a grump is like
for you. The thing is, you're the farthest thing from a grump. That's why. Like, that doesn't really fly.
I feel like I'm getting grumpier every day. Like,
it's part fatherhood, old age.
That's what I'm saying.
Could contribute to it.
I don't know. I've done a couple of those outdoor. We went to an outdoor in New York, actually. Some people may remember. I'm always shocked, actually, when I do a wedding and someone comes up to me and says, I remember we were on the radio, because it was 10 years ago that I left. But when Huss and I went to the Super Bowl in 2014, we were telling Connor about this before we went on air. We were there for the whole week, and it was the early days of those outdoor classics.
Yeah, it was the Stadium Series. People often ask me, I'm like, how many ballparks have I done? And I'm like, well, I go through all the ones. And I said, well, I've done Yankee Stadium.
But not for baseball.
And it was to see the Devils and the Rangers.
Devils? Islanders?
Devils, or was it Islanders?
It definitely was a New York.
They had that. Yeah, it was a New York team. Or maybe I think it was the Rangers and Devils, because we thought it was weird that the Rangers fans were still chanting Potvin sucks, even though the Islanders weren't there.
Was that? I remember we were like, let's go sit behind home plate at Yankee Stadium, and it was a terrible view for the hockey. So we were like, this sucks. We got
these would have been $1,500 seats for baseball.
Yes.
And we basically just watched it on the screen and took it all in.
This is really not
what a great time that was.
But I think the Heritage Classic is going to be, and please, like, if you want to talk about the power of prayer for sport, everybody needs to go to their place of worship that weekend and pray for Montreal to lose. Because if they're all those Habs fans, it will ruin Halloween. That's how long I think the stink will last. If the Habs win and all those Habs fans are cheering for them in our stadium, I'll be sad still at Halloween. And I don't want that.
Well, let's pivot over to the Jets. I'm interested in your, you're like, listen, it's that time of year where everyone's 500, everyone's in first place. You kind of, you go in, with, most people, I think, go in hoping for the best and, with optimism, but this is a very different team, I would say. Well, not a very different team, but kind of a different situation that they've been in. You rewind to a year ago, and this team was coming off, a dream season, President's Trophy, the Manitoba Miracle, a heartbreaking loss to Dallas, which, of course, with everything that happened with Mark Scheifele and his father, they proved so many people wrong that year and made so many strides that made the disappointment of last year, I think, made it even greater. It's 1 year. It's a new season. Everyone's starting, where are you at on this team right now with the addition of Vigo Bjork, with maybe some younger guys in the lineup, the Hellebuck cloud around the team on all that? Do you have expectations this team can be a lot more competitive this year, a playoff team? what are your expectations? What are the big questions for you coming into this league?
That's right. So I was going to ask you, this is my question. Which version of the Jets feels more real? The Jets who won because the teams are very similar and the core is certainly similar and the coach. The team that won the President's Trophy or last year's, what do you want to call last year? If the Manitoba Miracle is that
dumpster
goal in
fire.
Dumpster, exactly what I was thinking. I was going to say dumpster fire. Yeah. So the PT, the trophy, President's Trophy, or the DF, the dumpster.
I mean, I think like most things, I think the truth and reality is somewhere right in the middle.
Sure, of course. And we know that. We felt that there was a level of, harsh to say, overachieving, but we felt like they got a couple bounces, they got a couple things. We didn't feel like they were the Stanley Cup favorites coming out of the President's Trophy season like you would expect from the team that finished first. We knew that they had a few things on their side, but to fall, like you said, the way they did. So we were talking about with the Blue Jays, right? To have the World Series in your grasp and then to have a guy, your star player can't hit a home run. Obviously this season is huge, and Cheveldayoff, as I think should be expected, wants to go into a rebuild about as much as he wants to do nothing. So you add Ferraro, they bring in Skinner. Obviously, they've been missing what they were missing when I was on the air, when Brian Little had concussion issues. They're missing a second line center and a power forward. Like they're looking for the same thing they've been looking for a decade and a half.
Hopefully we drafted the center.
That would be amazing, but it's a lot to expect. Like, I think we're just like, what do we expect from Perfetti? A step forward, stay healthy. Like that seems reasonable, but what do we expect from Bjork in his first year? What do we like all these guys? We don't want to put too much on them because that'll probably crush them. And then the fans will just be disappointed. Where do you set your expectations? I think you have to go into a season in the NHL with this kind of roster. I mean, for crying out loud, Connor Hellebuyck won the Vezina and the Hart. And last year, though he had his worst year in the NHL, he got injured really for the first time of like huge significance. And he did also have what will probably be the greatest game of his entire career in the gold medal game against Canada. So the guy's not exactly forgetting it. If he returns to even, like he doesn't have to win the Vezina, if he returns to regular form, like Vezina contention, and everyone just has a good year and they stay healthy, you have to be going for the playoffs. The team, they believe they're going for the playoffs. That's what Cheveldayoff tells you. Not only are we not rebuilding, we're competitive. We're a playoff team, and they have to get back to the kind of hockey that they were playing under O'Neill in the President's Trophy season. They have to be as boring as they can be. I mean, you know what? I was getting ready to talk to you, and I went back and looked at it because hockey's been off my brain. Mark Scheifele had 103 points last year.
Dude,
Mark Scheifele had 103 points.
I mean, all like career high by 10, but that's also, I mean, you can look at it in two ways.
Because no one else scored?
Yes, and there was so much on their plate. They didn't have really anything.
Just look at what he's capable of. I look at it more of like the picture of what he's capable of going into this year and what Connor's capable of. And I remember people were saying to me a couple of months ago when it was really hot, oh, you think they'll trade Hellebuyck? You think they'll trade Hellebuyck? And I said, no, I really don't think they want to trade Hellebuyck. Like if somebody had come forward with a blow him out of the water deal, I think they would have maybe pulled the trigger. But Hellebuyck is in his prime. These guys are in their prime and you've got them together. You have to be trying to go for it. And the Jets' way, in my opinion, has always been, I mean, I don't think it's only my opinion, no big overreactions to anything. No big overreaction to winning the President's Trophy and no big overreaction to flaming out and being horrible last year. Like they're just not big. It took Dustin Byfuglien throwing Evander Kane's jersey or tracksuit or whatever into the shower for them finally to end that whole thing. Remember, like they kept trying to make it work with Kane and Bago. Like they always are going to try and make it work. I think they tried to make it work with Trouba. I think they tried to make it work with that'll always be their move. And they're going to try and make it work with a core that if you took a step back and didn't know all the baggage and all the history, come on, there's a lot of teams in the league that would take our lineup. They would take the top of our lineup and they would say, yeah, we can figure it out from there. We'll find some pieces around Connor, Morrissey, Scheifele, and Hellebuck. Like and they're all in their prime, and they're all locked up. So, I mean, I feel like they should be looking at the playoffs. They should be able to be a playoff team.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, like, just to kind of get back to, your original question of like, who's the real
Which
Jet?
version? Yeah.
Now, I totally agree with you. I mean, the President's Trophy,
Too much.
It was really cool. Everyone was proud of it. Happy that they won it. But as we all know, this isn't, the Premier League. Of
no
soccer,
relegation.
Where you just, you're the first place team in the regular season. Congratulations. You are the champions. We play Stanley Cup playoffs, and you got to be the last man standing. And it more often than not is not the President's Trophy winner. But I think you can safely say that year, like, let's just move this, like, think of the 32 team league in quarters. They were absolutely one of the 8 best teams in the NHL. Were in that top 25% with the best teams, and, had a chance to, like, had a legitimate chance to go in there, and you can say you can believe in your team. Last year, they went from the top quartile to the bottom.
Yeah.
There was a lot of things that happened over the course of the season. You can talk a little bit about the injuries. You can talk about a Helly leaving, and that's when that 11-game losing streak that basically sunk the season. But it was also, I think, their reaction to the year before, thinking that they were so close and maybe not reading the way the league was going.
I agree with that.
Younger, getting a hell of a lot faster. And the guys that were added in was Taves, was Nyquist, was Tanner Pearson.
Slow.
All guys who were on the wrong end of that. Now,
old, yeah.
Credit, those guys are gone, and they didn't just go and get 34, 35-year-old veterans to come in to be placeholders. And that's why Brad Lambert, Isaac Rosane, Danny Zhilkin, some of the younger players that we saw at the end of last year are going to have far more of a realistic opportunity to crack the lineup. Now, whether they can hang in the National Hockey League as regulars, be productive, do it at both ends, I guess we will find out. But to me, and you bring it back to the coach, I mean, if you look at the schedule of the Jets, like, listen, I don't think I'm surprised that they didn't make a move coaching after last season because of what happened the year before.
Yeah, it's also the organization. How long did they hang on to Claude Noel for? I mean, come on, like that's not really the way the Jets do it. They kind of take their time.
I mean, Claude got taken out. Did Claude get 2 seasons, or was it?
And then and then in the middle of the third,
48. I know, and I was sitting with Joel Marcoux at that Columbus Blue Jackets game, and we were watching, and Joel famously said to me, "This is the last time you were seeing Claude Noel because this team is playing to get their coach fired," and he was fired the next morning. So Marcoux,
but that was the 3rd season.
Marcoux was on it. Yeah, and that second season was the
still a full season though, like of him coaching. Like, I know it was lockout and everything like that.
But I mean, again, you got to think about what the team was at that time. I mean, they were coming. Yeah. They were, a really young team coming in from Atlanta that was just looking to take steps. Like, the expectations were nothing compared to what they are right now.
And what they set for themselves. My point
with Arneal is that the expectations, because of what they did in his first year and the players that they have on the team, are much greater. So when I look at the first 20 games of this season and see the Jets starting out with 2 against the Panthers and the Lightning and, all those teams, I do wonder. And like, if I was thinking about Arnie actually when the schedule came out, I'm thinking of him getting this thing and going, "Oh my God, can you cut me a break here?"
No.
I mean, let me ask you this. We've spent we haven't really the last month very much, and thank God for that. But in and around the draft beforehand, all the talk, and this wasn't just in Winnipeg, this was all around the National Hockey League, was about Hellebuck, who very clearly wanted to leave. If he's sitting here saying, like, I think some of it was for the public. And again, if he's back at the start of training camp, it'll be very interesting to see how he sort of handles it. But I mean, if you're accepting a trade to Buffalo, no disrespect to the people of Buffalo or anything like that, then it's pretty clear you're looking for a change. And I know it's one thing to say, hey, it's all about winning, and I'm 33, I need to win a championship right now. But I mean, Buffalo had a great 4 months last year after a terrible start, made the playoffs and won a round and then lost to Montreal. Like, I don't think of the Sabres right now as the team that's knocking on the door that's due to win the cup. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to all of that. How do you see this playing out? I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, Murat's going to come on with us, and we were talking to him last week. He still feels like something probably happens before the season. I'm not so sure on that.
He really does, huh?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that there has been, it's almost like they've just taken a break on talking about it, and then they're going to re-engage in and around this time. I mean, I think a Hrabchak with 5 years left on his deal, with what he's accomplished at $8.5 million a year, as one of the prime players and contracts in the league. And I understand why the deal hasn't done, because no one's met Chevy's price. I do wonder whether that's going to happen at any point in the near future. And to your point, like if they started that way and they can get a little bit more out of that second line, and Lowry's better and some of the young guys contribute, and you've got Hrabchak and Skinner as your 1-2.
Yeah.
It's a great situation to be net minding wise. The question is the rest of whether everyone else can get the job done.
I always worry that sometimes with these conversations, I'm naive, and I would hate ever to think that I'm naive, but I think winning is always the cure. It's such a cliche, but they win. They have a good October and November, which this team is often very good at. Like, they often are good at the beginning of the year.
Even last year, they were 9-3.
Even last year,
they went into the tank
before it fell apart. I remember just quickly, so they played Dallas in the playoffs in May. I was telling you earlier about, right? Like, they played Dallas in the playoffs, in the May of the year with the Miracle, like a year ago.
Yeah, 95.
And then in the November of last year, they're a month and a half into the season, they're playing Dallas again. And I was watching the game and I was thinking, didn't these teams just play like 5-6 months ago? Why do we look so off? It hasn't been that much time. And it's all the stuff that you talked about, right? Like, coming out of that, they thought they could add a few older guys and they wouldn't lose anything, where they lost so much off the speed and they just lost so much off their own youth and they couldn't keep up. The league is just, it's like technology. Like, I feel like sports leagues and technology, year to year, if you don't have a new phone every year, you're way behind the times, right? Like, you need to be keeping up with a rapidly, exponentially increasing skill set and everything. They didn't do that, and so when I was watching them playing Dallas last year, I thought, wow, they've fallen so far. But I think that was just a bit of an optical illusion. Like, I don't think the window has closed on this team. I think they're closer. I think it's little things. I think it's health, of course, but I think that it starts with their most talented players, and their most talented players are not their issue. Like, Hrabchak had some injuries and he looked mortal, but I don't see that as being a problem. And if Hrabchak, Scheifele, Connor, Morrissey are all what they can be, it just takes a couple of these other guys slotting in, and then you've got a great chance of being a playoff team. And I think that kind of winning will make Connor Hrabchak want to stay here. I mean, Murat's gonna tell you inside stuff, but I don't know. Like, they don't want to trade him. Believe me, they don't want to.
I agree. They
do not want to trade him.
I agree.
And like, I worked with a kicker for a really long time. Kickers, goalies, relief pitchers. These are the mentally, these are the most trying sports positions. Like, quarterback is a different kind of animal, right? But like, in terms of, you have these one moments and they haunt you. And like, just look at that goalie for the States in the World Cup, right? Like, I don't know that we can be trusting, like you said. Like, I think with Hrabchak, there's a lot of show, there's a lot of shtick, as we would say in my profession. And
I think there's a lot of just people around him. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't think he wants to go either. Like, I really think he likes his life. And if they're winning, like you said, if you're prepared to go to Buffalo, like, come on, we're in Winnipeg. There aren't too many teams in the league that we could be like, really, like Buffalo, like, dude.
That is it. Hey, Matt,
Fargo,
I got to tell you, this has been so much fun. Around the Classic, and maybe we do this off air, or we get together with some of the equipment.
Oh man,
we need you, me, Marcoux, and maybe a couple others, and we'll just do a separate pod of just like some of the hilarious stories and memories
Well,
of the old station.
I think we could have like a core, and then we could just invite like Westy to come for half an hour, Paul Edmonds to come for half an hour, and like the rule would have to be that you had to have some kind of 1290 joke or spinoff to launch us into it.
We could do 4 hours with every one of those guys.
There was a time, there was some weird. Did you remember the time that Westwood thought I was so ridiculous for picking the Giants to win the NFC East that he bet me that if they did, that he would run outside in the winter in just a jockstrap, and then he did. And then one morning I was pulling together sports updates and he knocked on my booth and I opened the door and it's Westwood in just a jockstrap, and I just can't unsee that. And then I had to watch him and film him running down in the, and that guy's in the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame.
Yes. Yes. Well, you, my friend, are in the WST and TSN 1290 Hall of Fame. This has been so much fun.
Thanks,
be well. All the best to you and the fam. Let's do this again, and definitely want to get the guys together in and around the Heritage Classic. Should be a lot of fun. Matthew, thanks so much, and all the best.
A pleasure. And to you, Connor in the background, and Remus, everybody, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Thanks for doing this for all the sports fans. And how many years are you this? You this 5?
We're into year 6.
Yeah, into year 6. 5.5 years that you've been doing.
Station wasn't the same after you dipped, but we won't.
Please. Good on you guys, and thanks so much. Come on anytime.
Right on. There's Matt Leibl. Great stuff. We are going to get into more Jets topic. Really interesting piece with Murat in the latest edition of The Athletic. We will hit that as WST continues. Well, Friday night, Princess Auto Stadium is going to be the place to be as the Bombers looking to get back in the win column against the Ottawa Redblacks. 7 days a week, though, the place to be is the brand new Princess Auto at 500 Panet Road. Of course, Princess Auto founded and headquartered right here in Winnipeg, and now coast to coast across the country now has opened their flagship store, 105,000 square feet at 500 Panet Road. And if you haven't been in there, book off a little bit of time and check it out. Make sure to check out the shop where you've got all the tools there. You can learn them, free classes with Reed Carruthers and his great staff there. Obviously, an expanded stock of literally everything, including hunting, fishing, camping, and even a spot where you can try out archery equipment and crossbows and whatnot. Oh, and don't forget, come hungry, breakfast sandwiches, incredible smash burgers. It is a new shopping experience that Winnipeg's never seen before. 500 Panet Road at the brand new Princess Auto. And of course, you can check them out online at princessauto.com. Our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli have had one heck of a summer, and that's not a new thing. They've been doing it for 80 years as the preeminent power sports superstore in Manitoba. If you are looking for new or used motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, or recreational vehicles, Chud's Power Sports is your number one spot for that. So head on up to Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Check in with the Derminator and our friends out at Chud's. They'll take very good care of you. And even if summer's winding down for you and you're already looking around to the corner to the snow flying, great 2027 promos and deals on snow machines as well coming up. And it's all waiting for you at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's power sports superstore for over 80 years up in Gimli. You can start shopping today and get those ideas going online at chudspowersports.com. Been a great summer for our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Saw Dr. Terry on the weekend getting out of town, but it's back to work for he and his team as everyone gets ready for the school year. St. Vital Dental Center has been serving generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans. So if you are looking for a long-term home for you and your family at one of the top dental clinics, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's Road with convenient free parking right behind the building. And St. Vital Dental Center is where you'll get everything taken care of in one spot, from things like cleanings and checkups to dental surgeries and dental implants. They do it all. So for all your dental needs, hit them up online at St. Vital Dental Center. Make an appointment. When you pop in, tell them the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. Wow, what a sports weekend we've got coming up. Big weekend in the Canadian Football League. Jays are still grinding, trying to hang in there. We've got the CEBL Championship Series and, of course, NFL right around the corner, which means get ready to spend some time at your local Boston Pizza. No better place to get together with your gang for the big game than your local BP and enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more, and all the great vibe of Boston Pizza lounges. If you're not at the games, the next best place to be is Boston Pizza. And don't forget, if you're staying at home, you can always get the great taste of BP by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, great stuff with our pal, the sports rabbi, and we move from one fan favorite to another. Let's bring in Murat from theathletic.com. How are you keeping, my friend?
Hey, I am doing well. And I was just telling you, I should tell the whole world, I don't think Matt and I have met. And if we have, I'm so sorry, because that was so delightful. Just the joy that he took in all those stories that you guys were sharing back and forth. So Matt, if you're out there, if you haven't turned it off yet, and gone about your day, make sure we do get a chance to say hi at some point. That was fun.
I would love to get the two of you guys together. You know, he's such an interesting and interesting person. He has, obviously, great sports guy and doing what we did, but really, particularly, you, with the musical side of yours, I've got fantastic takes and interest in music, and I don't want to gas him up too much if he's still listening, but an absolutely brilliant individual too. So just a joy, and that was a heck of a lot of fun. I would love, we'll make that happen. As they say, I'm going to try and plan a little get together, maybe a couple in and around the Heritage Weekend, maybe of a few of our old friends, and we'll certainly get you out there, Murat. So here we are. There has been literally nothing on the NHL wire over the course of the last little bit. Just before we get to your piece in the Athletic on the Jets roster for this year and beyond, how is Logan Stanley a free agent right now? Patrick Laine, Ilya Tolvin, and where do you see, in particular, Stan? Because even if there wasn't the big money out there, I'm shocked that he hasn't signed with the team. And I do wonder how that's all going to shake out for some of these guys that didn't get a chair in the summer of musical chairs of free agency.
Yeah, it's awfully late in the game. The music that's playing, it must be about to stop. You got to think. I never expected Logan Stanley to get the 4x5 million that people were talking about. I think that one probably came from the agent. If you saw it in insider reporting that, hey, he could be a $20 million man. But I fully believe that the collective NHL believed that he's at least a third pair defenseman. While there's been a whole bunch of debates over the years in Winnipeg, I would think that the offensive output that he had, even if you think it's unsustainable shooting percentage, and of course it is, of course some of that is, a lot of it even, I still continue to be shocked that he's not signed in some capacity. So you think that it's not just him, it's the other guys that you mentioned, it's a whole lot more. And I wish I knew more about the individual people in this situation. Is Stan holding out for a payday that's going to be generational? I can't, I wouldn't have assumed that. I don't know though, right? The ins and outs of that decision-making process. Are we going to see players on PTOs that we were expecting to be signed? In Patty Laine's case, there's a little part of me that the longer this goes on and everything he's been through and the time he's been away from the game and the injuries that he's had, it's is his heart in it? Is he beating down teams' doors to get that opportunity? Because if it is, then I'm similarly shocked. I thought the Canadians were so smart to keep him in kind of almost a bottom 6 5-on-5 role and then give him some power play time. We're not that far removed from productivity from him, even if you don't really trust his all-around impact. You would think somewhere there is a team that can make use of him. I don't know, Huss. There should be so much cap room out there. There should be, and in a 32-team league, it's a bit surprising to me that they haven't found jobs for those players.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing we can pretty much take to the bank is they're going to be short-term deals if they are signed. With Stanley, I mean, I'm equally puzzled. I mean, and maybe this agent said, this is the number we're getting. They went out and they overplayed their hand and then found themselves that everyone had spent their money elsewhere or filled their spots and they need to wait for an injury or something like that. Man, that's a tough way to go into a season, though. Training, getting ready to play, not knowing where you're going, not having the support of an organization, especially a guy with a young family. So I do feel for him. And I think you nailed it on Line A. I mean, I think everyone knows that Line A has it in him to be a great player, but with what he's gone through, with how disappointing the last few years have been, I do think the question is how, where is his head at? And I was sort of joking, like we've seen him a little bit this summer, and it's usually being like basically a prop in one of his wife's influencer videos. And I said to Remus, I'm like, listen, if this guy really wants to play this year, like what should be going out online is him skating and ripping one-timers into the top corner and like reminding people the player that he is. Hell, just show a bunch of highlights from when he was 18 and 19 with the Winnipeg Jets. Maybe that can get some looks, but those two guys are interesting. I did mention Tolvanen because he's the one guy that, depending on what happens here with Winnipeg, I think you could make an argument that that's a guy that might be able to come in and help the Winnipeg Jets. Now, he's 27 years old, I believe. I mean, we're not talking about a 34 or 35-year-old like a Gus Nyquist or a Tanner Pearson that came in last year. But I mean, when you look at the Jets right now, do you think there would be any consideration of maybe a cheap deal on a player like that to come in and compete and maybe add to the depth of the forward group? Or are we going in the exact opposite direction that we were last year after the league got faster and younger and said, we're not signing these other guys. We put a lot into Brad Lambert. We traded for Isaac Rosane. Danny Zhilkin showed he's worthy of an opportunity. Chibrikov's been around and deserves a chance, and they will sink or swim with the young players they have to fill the holes in the roster and hopefully take this team to a much better place than they were in the 25-26 season.
Well, I don't know the details and the ins and outs of it, but I am fully under the impression that the Jets want to be younger and faster than they've been in the past. And I think that they're also cognizant of the fact that they're known for slow playing their young players. And I don't know that they're going to slam on the handbrake and kind of overcorrect in that direction, but it could be that they're trying to make opportunities for these players. Even as it stands though, Huss, like there are veteran players, or I think there are veteran players who aren't going to be everyday Winnipeg Jets this year. Like depending on how you draw up your lines, if you've got Brad Lambert and Isaac Rosane in your NHL lineup, and I fully expect that you would, well, if you've got Viggo Bjork in there too, which I think is the most exciting young player available, well, then is Vladdy Nemestikov your 13th forward? Is Cole Koepke missing time? That's before you get into Zhilkin or Chibrikov, et cetera, et cetera. So like it's possible the Jets think that they have enough in terms of raw numbers of players and are holding out only for top end talent. But it seems like there's too many 7s and 8s, not enough aces and kings amongst Winnipeg's forwards right now. All that said, Tolvanen as a middle six utility guy, I kind of like. He is a bit of a puck hound at times. He can be a guy who forechecks and recovers pucks. He can be a bit of a pest at times in ways that you like. I don't know if he's been consistent enough for some people's appreciation. Like he'd be inside the top 12 best forwards available, but I don't know if Winnipeg's looking to add to the 7s and 8s.
Now, the piece in The Athletic right now, which is a nice little, as we talk about who's going to be in and out of the lineup, perfect little segue, projecting the Jets opening night roster in 26, 27, and 28. Focusing in on the 26, Murat. I think we know, let's assume for the sake of this conversation that Vigo's going to start at the 2C. So your top 6 is Connor Scheifele, Perfetti, Vigo Bjork, Velarde, Locks, and Iafallo has been a guy before. I'm with you. I think Velarde probably moves to Bjork's line to give him a little bit more experience, a guy that can score to work on, and we've seen Iafallo work well with Scheifele and Connor in the meantime. Maybe one of those younger players like a Lambert or Rosane, maybe we see Cole Perfetti, but let's just work under the assumption that those top 6 guys are in the 6. Adam Lowry in the middle of the third line, no brainer. You've got Morgan Barron there. Thoughts on the challenge the decision between having Morgan Barron move to the wing and play more with Adam Lowry, or be the center on the fourth line, and what that does to the Lowry line if potentially Morgan stays at center where he was quite good last year.
Yeah, I guess for me, there's 2 different ways to look at that. One is from the Barron perspective, just thinking about him as a player. At his size and speed, he is unique among Winnipeg Jets. I think if you look at his average ice time from last year, though, it really wasn't very much. It was a fourth line equivalent for a player. I think the Jets left some meat on the bone there. I think that they would benefit from looking at him a little bit higher up. I'm not among those that say he's a second line solution, that he's got the finishing ability or the playmaking, but I have time for him playing a bigger role than what he's gotten so far. So that's part of why I've got him on that third line left wing situation. I don't know the way that Winnipeg's laying out its lines historically, that the fourth line, they play important minutes. Yes. They're the secondary shutdown line. Yes. But if Barron were to be the best option alongside Lowry on the third line, I think there's no he would be a better fourth line center. I don't think that fourth line is important enough. And I think Lowry's line is going to be as important as it ever was. So from a team building perspective, if you've got Scheifele scoring goals, if you've got youth or trying to figure out the second line, Adam Lowry is going to get big minutes. Coming off of a bad year, he's been working like a dog in the gym to get that explosiveness back. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's make or break because intangibles, captaincy, etc. But in terms of him being an impact player as that 3C, it is kind of make or break at this stage of his career. And I don't think he's ever been doubted like he has been this offseason. It's a really compelling season for him. And I think Winnipeg's going to give him another shot at being that shutdown center where everything else snaps into place. They run Scheifele hard, they run Lowry hard, everything else fits in after that. And if you're doing that, then who's the best fit? And I don't know if Nino Niederreiter is it. Mason Appleton is gone. I do use Niederreiter in that line because he's defensively responsible. Maybe Cole Koepke could be an option on that line. Even Vladdy could be an option. They are hard to play against when they're at their best, all of those guys. But I think Morgan Barron has pace, and I think he'll get that puck out of the D zone and up that left wing boards. I think that would help. I also think that there's some players, some wingers on the Winnipeg Jets, when they take that breakout pass on the boards, they eat hits and lose the puck. I don't think Morgan Barron's going to be that guy. That one play is what kept Mason Appleton in Rick Bonus's rotation. Eat a check, get the puck out, despite deficiencies elsewhere. And I think that line could use a little bit more of that now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think and expect that Morgan Barron plays with Lowry, and I'm with you. I think Lowry might be the most. I mean, we can talk about a bunch of players that need to have bounce back seasons. For the team, I think Adam Lowry's the linchpin. Neil Pionk, the Sandberg pairing would be similar on the blue line. But overcoming the surgery, the rehab, everything that happened last year and getting Lowry closer to the Lowry of the year before is something to me that is imperative if the Jets are going to take their a step back closer to their team of 2 years ago as opposed to last year. You've got Isaac Rosane and Brad Lambert in the lineup on opening night on the wings of the fourth line. How do you expect the fourth line to be different this year? Because that certainly is a different look than the fourth lines that we've seen traditionally here in the Peg.
Yeah, it's a choice to use them that way. And I know that or I expect that there's going to be a lot of people saying, well, hey, like try them in the top 6. They're offensively minded players. And honestly, I have time for that. I really do. There are ways to rearrange the lineup and, put Lambert or Rosane on the second line and hope for the best in that sort of situation. I'm just deferring to Winnipeg Jets ice time history a little bit in that regard. And just how high stakes the season seems to be for them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arnie trusts the vets again in certain situations. That said, if Winnipeg is going to use a fourth line of youth, like I've listed and projected there, that is entirely a different look. They're still going to get sheltered minutes relative to what Lowry or Shifley would have to deal with. But there were times where Winnipeg used to use that group as the poor man shutdown line, and they would get the D-zone draws. They would get those leverage minutes that would just get the team a breather. They would hope nothing happens, and then they would get off the ice. I don't know that you can trust youth from a veteran coach's perspective to do those same things. They might not be as counted upon for D-zone draws and those specific minutes as previous editions were. So that's honestly, unless Winnipeg is doing things new, which is an exciting possibility, it doesn't fit into how the lineup has been deployed by Bonus and Arniel in recent years.
Murat, I'm just looking at Puckpedia, and for next year, Nino is a free agent, Vlad's a free agent, Morgan Barron is a free agent, and then Noah Gregor just joined the club. We'll see what his role is. We'll kind of keep him out of this because I think it's all TBD based on how he does. And then obviously Brad Lambert is an RFA. And it's only the guys at the bottom of the defense core, Hayden Fleury, Jack St. Ivany, that, just have deals for this year. And Elias will be an RFA, and he'll presumably be in the mix. When you look ahead to, in the exercise of going to 27 and 28, how many of those players do you think that are on their final contracts actually are Winnipeg Jets next season?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's going to be some losses, I think, to the Jets depth chart, and that's not even getting into the year after that, where there's some really critical guys who need new deals. I think that if we're following through on Winnipeg's desire to be younger and faster, and to give younger players a little bit more opportunity, it's hard for me to see both of Nino and Vlad returning after this year. They might need bodies. They might need at least one of them. But Barron, I think, is a little bit more likely to be a priority, thanks again to his pace and his youth. That you've seen them re-sign Koepke this summer, and that's, I think, part of that movement as well. So I think it's sensible that as long as Vlad and Nino don't show up and crush it this year, we do know they were banged up last year. Were their down seasons all about injury? I don't know. But if they come back and have really successful seasons, maybe there's room for them. Anything short of that, I think it's almost time to turn the page. The key though is that's great. The Jets, if they believe in themselves and if they have any success at all right now, they've got these 2 years, Hellebuck wildcard pending, before they really have to make some really massive decisions about the future of their team. I know there's some people that want them to be more ambitious and aggressive now, go full-scale rebuild. That's not in the cards. So if it's tread water time, hope to make it to the playoffs and chip in a chair. I think there's at least 2 seasons of it.
Yeah, and speaking to that, it's half of your blue line, including the best contract on your team as per your crack research, Josh Morrissey, Dylan Sandberg, another surplus contract. And Dylan DeMello, that's 75% of your top 4 right now. I think we all agree that can't just go until the end of next season. So, yeah, really starting next summer, particularly with Josh Morrissey, if not before, depending on what happens this year, you're going to have to get down to some pretty big conversation, particularly with Morrissey and then with Sandberg. And I do wonder where DeMello fits in to that based on if Morrissey's around long term. Did they just keep with that? Do they look for an upgrade? But it's this year is going to in the direction, and who knows? I mean, I was talking before about Scott Arniel's situation coming into this season, Murat, and how he might have winced when he looked at the first 20 games. And that when you come off a season like that, there are expectations that you'll start well. And if it's going in the same direction, maybe changes are made. And depending on what happens in the first 40-odd games, 20, 25, 40 games of this year, that could have a big impact in some of those other players with only 1 year remaining on term of the contract.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Arniel is an important... we haven't even talked about Connor Hellebuck, and we'll leave that alone for now. But, Scott Arniel is a fascinating situation because President's Trophy, second in Jack Adams voting, followed by the season that he had. Almost everybody underachieved. There were injuries. There are contingencies. There are reasons to think that, Winnipeg was worse than it could have been. But I don't think Arniel stepped in there and swung big in terms of creative solutions either. And as I wrote in that piece today, Kevin Cheveldayoff did seek out Winnipeg's leadership group, not just the men with letters, but a broad group of people viewed as leaders on the Winnipeg Jets, and just took a temperature check. Is this somebody who you continue to believe in? Now, I don't know the details of those conversations. Clearly, they didn't go ahead and do something rash, i.e. fire him this summer, but I believe this to be the last year of his deal. In terms of future planning of the Winnipeg Jets, if they do go full-scale rebuild at some time, or if they're just simply, they don't have the horses to compete for the playoffs regularly, I don't know if Arniel is going to be the ideal person for that situation. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a little conservative, believing that veterans will continue to get minutes, because the Jets desperately need to prove a lot of things to a lot of people, and I think Arniel does as well.
I almost feel bad asking this, but it's more a question about the organization rather than saying something is going to happen. But I think it's pro sports. I mean, especially coaches, the old saying, they're hired to be fired. If this thing went off the rails, the team had a terrible start, 25, 30 games in, they got to do something. Do you think it would be similar to the Claude Noel firing where they went outside of the organization and brought someone in? Or is the next man up currently on the staff?
Hey, that's a great question. And based on my limited knowledge of who's available, I would suspect it would be outside the organization. And maybe that's just, I'm reading back to when they hired Bowness and Arniel in the first place, and they ended up, I think, impressing a lot of us, right? It was the Barry Trotz watch, and there was one guy on everybody's names, and they didn't get that guy, but then they did what they needed to do over the next couple of seasons. And Arniel was a part of that staff, and he was essentially being groomed to be the head coach when Bowness moved on, whenever that was going to be. Well, I don't know that that's the situation now. The staff is full of capable people. I rate Davis and Dean. I think that they're doing solid jobs for the Winnipeg Jets. But during that original head coaching search that brought Bowness and Arniel, I think Winnipeg's best lessons were learned when they went and had conversations with people outside of the organization, when they sat down with John Tortorella and said, hey, what do you see here? Just give it to us straight. And I think that my impression about that coaching search was always that it was really thorough and that it taught Winnipeg a lot about where they were. You can't do that mid-season, to be clear. I understand that. But in terms of if they do need to go a different direction, I think that's why I'm thinking going outside the organization.
Murat, always a great chat with you, my friend. We only scratched the surface of this piece that's up in The Athletic. Just give people a bit of a preview on what's waiting for them for not just this season, but the two after that.
Yeah, it's wild. We're talking about projecting the opening night lineup next season and the year after that. So that takes an understanding of contract timing, who's on which deals, when do they expire. We're applying aging curves. So, at what point will Mark Scheifele begin to tail off? 103 points, amazing. But what changes as time goes by? At what pace will Viggo Bjork rise through the ranks? What are the other young players who might make an impact year over year over year? It's a fun exercise to do every single time. We get things right, we get things wrong, but we think it all the way through. And then when you look back 3 years from now, oh my goodness, the comparison is always fascinating. So I encourage people, just have a look, tell us what I did wrong, what I projected too ambitiously or too negatively or what have you. But I think the Winnipeg Jets are going to be a fascinating team to watch as they try to avoid a rebuild over the next couple of years. And then it's just a battle against Father Time.
Murat, always a pleasure, my friend. I hope you have a great rest of the week with the fam, and we'll look forward to catching up soon as we count down to the turn of the calendar and closer to Winnipeg Jet training camp. Have a great one, pal.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me.
There is Murat right now at The Athletic, projecting the Jets opening night roster in 26, 27, and 28. Make sure to check it out at theathletic.com. On that topic, let me fire out the why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Shout out to the Not Gang. Who is someone that is not guaranteed a spot in the opening day lineup, in your opinion, that you think will be there? I'm thinking along the likes of a Lambert, of a Rosane, Cole Koepke. Noah Gregor in some ways. You can include Vlad and Nino in that conversation as well. Or maybe it's someone like a Danny Zhilkin that you think can kind of come in and earn that spot in training camp. Let us know your thoughts on maybe a bubble guy being in. Fire it up in the chat for the Not Autocorp question. Why not? Question of the day. All right. We still have much more to come. Lots going on. We're going to check out the Jays lines and more from tonight over at Cool Bet. I will have some horse picks to get you. We got Assiniboia Downs coming at you tonight. But coming up in just a moment, we're going to head out to Sport Manitoba. Nick Dembski of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers putting on a great event for 7 to 10-year-olds. We'll check in with what Kids Sport's doing and more with Amber Mara as WST continues on a Tuesday afternoon. Hard to believe that hockey season is just about here, but if you head down to Royal Sports at 750 Pembina Highway, you'll know that it is. Royal Sports has been Manitoba's hockey superstore for over 50 years. And with players getting back into camps, training, and getting ready for training camps, the Royal Sports Hockey Department is a very busy place. For new players, they've got you covered from top to bottom, whether it's sticks, skates, equipment for goalies. Royal has it all. And the best part about it is they've got hockey players working in the hockey department to make sure they're getting you fitted properly and getting the right equipment for your level and need. It's not just hockey, though, of course. We've got everything coming from the summer. Huge selection of bikes and e-bikes, soccer, softball, baseball, tennis. And for your fan gears coming in, new NHL merch and new NFL merch coming by the week. It's all waiting for you at Royal Sports, Manitoba's sports superstore, 750 Pembina Highway. Give them a follow on Instagram for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. What a run and season it's been for our Winnipeg Goldeyes, who did not sweep the weekend. The incredible franchise record winning streak ended at 13. But it's time to start another one with a big week-long homestand beginning tomorrow night on Toonie Tuesday with all those great concession specials. The Goldeyes are right in it, taking a run at first place, and it's going to be an incredibly exciting final month of the season. So make sure to get out for some Goldeyes baseball this week, starting on Tuesday, right through Sunday. Goldeyes.com/tickets is where you're going to want to get your seats. Make sure to get them into your phone digitally so you can just walk right into the game and avoid lines. And you can go to goldeyes.com for more information on the remaining schedule as well as promo nights. We'll have Andrew Collier set up to see the homestand hopefully tomorrow on the program, but make plans to get out to the ballpark this week. Goldeyes are playing some great baseball, and there's nothing like Blue Cross Park in the summer. Speaking of the summer, there's still some time to get out and do some great things, folks. And if you are planning another adventure, make sure to start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. Looking for ideas on the go? Follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't-miss experiences from across the province. Or if you want a personal touch, pop down to the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. One of those great things to do in Manitoba during the summer is hit up Assiniboia Downs, and they are back with live racing tomorrow and Wednesday this week, 7:30 post time. Of course, that's free parking, free admission, and all the great times at Assiniboia Downs. They do also, a date to remember is August 24th. A couple Mondays from now, they'll be back at it with a special Monday night of live racing. It's the Monday Madness concession deals, and the Wiener Dogs are back. They were such a big hit earlier this year. So make a point of getting down to Assiniboia Downs, and if you do want to really do it up, make a reservation in the clubhouse dining room. Get on that prime rib buffet and enjoy the racing from the clubhouse dining room. But whether you're in the third level, on the grounds, in the dining room, there's nothing like a night at Assiniboia Downs. All right, it's time for another It Takes a Community to Play segment with our friends at Sport Manitoba. And let's welcome in Amber Mara from Sport Manitoba. Amber, it's great to talk to you again and have you back on the show. Just before we talk about a big kids sport event coming up with Nick Dembski, I must think that Monday, Tuesday, it's been a pretty fun time around Sport Manitoba after the Sea Bears victory on Saturday. It's sort of the home base for the Sea Bears, and I know everyone in the city seemed to be all in on the playoffs and on the game, but a lot of smiling faces around the office on Monday morning after the weekend.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, it's an exciting time for sports in Winnipeg. We have the Gold Eyes in playoffs. We have an NSL team coming. The Sea Bears just won a championship. Of course, the Bombers and the Jets are doing their thing. Like, it's a great time. And, you know, Sport Manitoba being involved with the Sea Bears as their practice facility. We do their performance and their medical services. We couldn't be more thrilled to be involved in having just a small part to play in that championship. And I got to go to the game. I don't know who else was there, but it was something to be a part of, and it was really special.
It was more like who wasn't there. I mean, we spent a lot of time yesterday talking about hat tip to the fans of the Sea Bears who have been the standard in the CEBL the entire time. But I think at a time when that league really needed great news, a great visual, man, did Winnipeg step up and provide it. But it also speaks to basketball's popularity. And I mean, you and the folks at Basketball Manitoba know, I mean, the grassroots level of this game in the province is absolutely massive. And the connection between the grassroots to our team and the Sea Bears, I don't think has ever been stronger. And it has created these amazing crowds and the excitement around the team that frankly just gets taken to an entire another level when you win a championship.
For sure. And there's a very clear correlation in like the number of new kids coming into basketball programs since the Sea Bears started their team here. And it's only going to go up and up from here.
You know, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because I had a friend that runs one of the local community centers. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we were talking a little bit about basketball and about the soccer programs. And I got talking to her about baseball this year. And the registration for kids baseball after the Blue Jays run last year more than doubled last year. And I mean, all of a sudden they were stressed for coaches and equipment and all that. But, you know, when young people get in and watching sports and get kind of invested in something, they want to play it. And it's kind of a perfect segue into the Nick Dembski football camp, because we certainly know what the Bombers have done over the course of this era, winning championships and going to the Grey Cup over and over. And, you know, Nick Dembski is such a perfect example of a kid from Winnipeg, grew up here, went to school here, that is now starring in the CFL. And Nick, for years, has always made a point of giving back, especially to kids sport. And who knows, maybe the next generation of Blue Bombers will be taking part in the football camp coming up.
Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, Nick has been a wonderful champion for kids sport. He's been an ambassador for us for years and is always very quick to get involved and step up to do stuff like this. This fundraiser has happened for a few years now. And the Bombers have been generous enough to give us Princess Auto Stadium to host it, which creates a pretty novel experience for kids to be able to not only be coached by the Bombers, including Nick, but also step foot on the field that they play on. It's something really special. So yeah, we have this camp coming up. It's on August 30th. It's for ages we just opened it up now, 7 to 10. It's a non-contact camp, so it's a lot of just basic skills for kids who might want to get involved in, tackle football eventually, flag football, whatever tickles their fancy. And Nick and friends will be on the field working with the kids.
You mentioned, this is so great we're talking about the growth of basketball. I mean, one of the fastest growing sports in North America has been flag football.
Yes. And
shout out to our women who just won the gold at the World Championships and qualified for the Olympics. And of course, our friend Paul Apolese, Winnipeg's Jackson Tuchinski, getting the bronze medal and also booking a ticket to the Olympic Games. So, I mean, all of those skills for flag football is something that leads to, professional or tackle football at some point. But for kids that are 7 to 10 that are getting into this, I imagine not only being able to, meet Nick, be on the stadium where the pros play and learn a bunch of stuff. I mean, great gateway for kids that might be thinking about getting into flag over the course of the next few years.
Yeah, for sure. And last year, Kids Sports specifically funded 194 kids to participate in football programs across the province. And this camp, we have a goal to raise between $15,000 and $20,000, but that's, maybe 50 kids. So the demand is really there for football programs. And if we can, work hard and fundraise and try to get as many kids in those programs as possible. And the beauty of the way that Kids Sport operates is the money goes directly to those clubs. So it never really leaves the sports system. It's not going directly to the families. It's going to pay the registration fee on their behalf. So it's going to go back to all of those, community centers, those local clubs who are putting all the time and energy into running those programs so we can fill rosters and get more teams in the game, get more kids in the game.
Well, it is all about getting kids out and giving them the opportunity to play. Here are the details for the football camp hosted by Nick Dembski. It is Sunday, August the 30th, from 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. at Princess Auto Stadium. It's $80 per child. You'll be able to go. It's led by Nick Dembski, a whole bunch of other you guys that are running through drills, talking to them about the game, teaching all this stuff. Be great. And you guys have done this before, and it's always been a really, really popular event. A lot of smiles on some young faces, and I think a lot of kids kind of getting a real boost forward into just being athletic playing, but particularly maybe a bit of a gateway or feeling more comfortable joining a flag team at a young age.
Yeah, exactly. We're really excited about it. There's a lot of energy that goes into planning events like this. The Bombers have been an incredible partner for it. Nick has been an incredible partner for it, and we're just excited to see it come together.
Now, I'm sure we've got some listeners that have some young kids that love Nick Dembski and the Bombers that would love to go to this, that are finding about it for the first time. How do people go about registering kids for the event?
Yeah, you can go to kidsportcanada.ca/Manitoba. It'll be under our news and events listings. It's all over Kidsport Manitoba's Instagram. The Bombers have posted about it. Nick is posting about it. The link is easily accessible anywhere. That page that you just had up there is our registration page. So if you want to just donate, even if you can't make it to the camp, there's an option there. But if you want to get signed up, there's a process to follow through, and it'll be just easy as can be and get you registered.
Now, obviously, we're focusing on this timely event with Dembski on August 30th and registration right now if you want to get those kids in. But we talked a little bit about what Kids Sport's doing for young football players here in Manitoba. Just give us an idea about the scope of the work that Kids Sport does 12 months a year, Amber, and why these events are so important and frankly impactful for some kids that might not otherwise have the opportunity to play.
Yeah, I took the liberty of writing down some stats for you here, Andrew, because it is significant and the demand keeps growing, especially post-COVID. There's so many, new Canadians to Canada. The cost of living is rising like crazy. So the demand for kids sports support is higher than ever. And we are just trying to keep up with the demand as much as we can. And in 2025 specifically, we funded 1,868 kids across 39 different sports in 109 different communities in Manitoba. So that totals up to over $545,000. So it is significant. We do get some support from Sport Manitoba and actually from Canada Life. They partner together to cover all of our administration costs. So when we're fundraising out in the community, we can earmark as much money as possible to go directly to those kids. We also do have the opportunity to kind of silo certain dollars that we raise. So the football camp is specifically going to fund football. We've had other initiatives, maybe something in the north, those dollars would stay in the north. Something in the west, those dollars would stay in the west, so they can stay as grassroots in those communities as possible.
There's so much demand, and you kind of nailed it with some of the things a lot of people are dealing with right now. And it's about providing opportunities that might not otherwise be there, that can have lasting and important effects in people's short-term lives and long-term. And you mentioned the Support of Canada Life, who of course does so many things in our community. That sort of support from the corporate sector or other benefactors, people that are able to, I know, is hugely important for kids sport, but also Sport Manitoba overall. I mean, just for a minute, if folks are listening right now that have the interest of maybe supporting a particular sport or a particular program, I know you guys do extensive fundraising through a myriad of different things, with the different sports, Sport Manitoba overall. But there are also like sponsorship opportunities and ways that the corporate community can get involved in amateur sport and help make an even bigger difference all around the province.
Yeah, the more money that Sport Manitoba makes, the more money we can put back into sport and community programs across the province. So it is really impactful. There are a few kind of key programs and opportunities we always have available. Right now, we have an open slot for a presenting sponsor for our Manitoba Games program that was hosted in Thompson in 2026, and we're on the verge of announcing our 2028 host. We also have Team Manitoba that competes at the Canada Games this upcoming winter in Quebec. We have some sponsorship opportunities to support their endeavors, so that would get some exposure on the national stage, which is always exciting. And then our facility in downtown Winnipeg, we get thousands of people through here. It is a practice facility for a lot of community programs. We have a lot of adult leagues, so we do have some facility sponsorship opportunities just to get exposure for the corporate community in front of those very valuable audiences.
Yeah, well, the job is never over, and I know you guys are always looking to, build up the coffers so that you can continue doing the important work. If people are interested, or where can they find out more information on some of the stuff that you just talked about, or talk to someone that can maybe help them see where there's a fit between local companies and some of the important things that Sport Manitoba is doing?
Yeah, even just to like an easy reach out, we have a general inquiries line that will get funneled to the right person. info@sportmanitoba.ca is an easy place to start. We also do have a page on our website to donate to some specific initiatives. So Kids Sport is listed there. We do have the Manitoba Sports Hall of Fame as well listed there. So sportmanitoba.ca/donate will kind of outline all of the opportunities to give and get involved in supporting the amateur sport community.
You know what? It's such a perfect time for this conversation, because bringing it back to where we started with the Sea Bears, and we just went through this weekend with, a near full house at Princess Auto Stadium for a Bomber win, and the Sea Bears win their championship, and the Gold Eyes, winning seemingly almost every night they go out right now and making a push for the playoffs. But it all starts at a grassroots level, and that is what Sport Manitoba is all about. And you think about the growth, the Sport for Life Center, what it's done for basketball in the province, and obviously the Sea Bears, but there's so many different tentacles of this. And, for something like kids sport is where it all starts for so many young athletes that maybe be playing on one of our teams down the road. But we know how important sport is, physical activity is, for young people. And listen, these are important things, and if people can support it, I encourage them to do that. And if you got a young little football player or someone that wants to get involved in it or try it out, the Nick Dembski camp, again, it's the Bombers football camp hosted by Nick Dembski, Sunday, August 30th, 2:30 to 4:30 at Princess Auto Stadium. It's $80. All the information is over at the Kids Sport page and Sport Manitoba. Amber, I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Good luck on the event with Nick. I know he is unbelievable with the kids, as he's always been. It should be a real special day for a lot of young Bomber fans coming up in a couple Sundays at Princess Auto Stadium. You be well, and we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me on.
I saw our pal Doug Brown making the most of the bye week on the weekend. Doug was out at Aikens Lake pulling out some massive fish out of the water. There's still great catches to be had and great times this fishing season, but Aikens Lake is planning well into 2027 right now. If you're thinking about a corporate trip, a family trip, maybe something that you've been waiting to do for many years, booking is going well into 2027 right now. So if you're looking for a fly-in fishing experience where you can be on the water in just a couple hours from Winnipeg with world-class fishing and even more world-class hospitality, that is what the Aikens experience is all about. Check them out online at aikenslake.com or all their social channels at Aikens Lake for more information on remaining availability for 2026 and booking into 2027. Lots going on in the golf course these days. We had Mitchell Brennan run away with the PGA Tour event on the Wyndham, and now it's on to the playoffs. But I can tell you the Breezy Bend Golf Report for this weekend is that Breezy Bend is absolutely mint and immaculate. Got a chance to play there on the weekend, just had a great time with some friends, and holy smokes, is the course in great shape. I think many of our courses are, but we're seeing now, some of the new greens that they built over the last couple of years, the course improvements really starting to take hold and take shape. If you are thinking about a great long-term home for you and your family at one of Winnipeg's top private courses, check out breezybend.ca or give our pal Corey Johnson a call at 895-7205 for more information on Breezy Bend for 2027. All right, we'll continue the show, but first up, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, let's welcome in our pal Jake Bowen-Moss from Coolbet to get ready for a big start to the Jays Rays series tonight in the Trop. What's going on?
Not much, Huss. I'm fired up. I'm right back in on Blue Jays baseball. You're just watching this race every morning. I wake up, I check the standings. I want to see where they're at. There's Ricky Tiedemann on the screen. Thank you for that, Connor.
Here we go.
Yeah, I got to grow out the chin beard. And me and Ricky, we're taking this team to the promise and back to the postseason. I know everyone was waiting for this moment. So yeah, me and Ricky Tiedemann. This actually started. My old boss, Chris Abbott, started this whole thing with me and Ricky Tiedemann, and that we were lookalikes. We both had the tattoo sleeves on the one arm, and he can throw the ball a little bit faster than I can, but pretty impressed with his debut, even though he gave up a run. I don't know if you saw us, but I thought he pitched pretty well, and hopefully he can get back up to the big league soon, because I don't know if I can watch any more Brendan Little baseball out of that bullpen.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm with you on the Jays. It's been, last week was one of those weeks that it does sort of inspire some confidence. They're not getting anything from Vlad right now. I was talking with Leibl earlier today on the program, and we were lamenting the season that Vlad's had, but then remembering the October he had last year. And maybe when the calendar turns to September, someone can just change all the calendars to October or something like that. Maybe we can get playoff Vladdy back, because with the way the other guys are chipping in right now and the way the pitching staff looks, this team, I think, is going to be live. And I'll tell you what, if they find a way to get in and play well enough over the course of the final 30, 40 games or whatever we're at left, you go in with a ton of momentum. And, I think what they went through in the playoffs last year will make them a much tougher out than any of these other teams that might squeak in for the first time in a long time in that third wild card spot. That being said, and we sort of talked about the fact that, it's this has been a graveyard for the Jays this year and in previous years. Even when the Rays haven't been good, they've had a tough time winning there. You got Nick Martinez, who's had a great start to the season. I think he's 12-3 right now, going up against Soriano. The Jays aren't huge. Like, I think people are sort of on to the Jays right now, though. And I mean, I think they're only about plus 112 for tonight's game or something like that. I got a hard time putting the Jays on a card at plus 112. And the Rays might be a sharp play at minus 137. But the recent play of Toronto at least gives you hope that this one could be up for grabs.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm necessarily just throwing, the Blue Jays money line on the top of my card, especially going into the Trop. But I'll be rooting for them tonight. Obviously, getting plus money if you do like the Jays tonight. It's a nice little place to play. Soriano in his first 2 starts as a Blue Jay has been pretty impressive. The stuff's there. He hasn't quite got the high strikeout numbers, but not a lot of runs coming in. They kind of cleaned up that control issues that he was having in LA, and it helps when you have guys behind the plate like Kirk and Valenzuela who frame pitches a lot better than the way LA was doing it on the Angels there. So, I'm excited for tonight. Obviously, a tough Cookie and Martinez, but the Jays have faced some tough pitchers over the last couple of weeks, and they've found a way to win a ton of series here. They can find a way to win 1 or 2 at the Trop. Try to get to Yankee Stadium, win a couple more, and you'll be set up in a great spot after these next 6 games.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Now, before we get to a couple picks tonight and something that I put up, let's get to some props. Actually, it was a tough one. We had a 3-way tie for the for first place in the Pick'em League this week. First time we've had a couple 2-way ties. This is the first time we had a 3-way.
Yeah, first 3-way tie, Huss. I was chatting with Patty yesterday, just trying to decide how we'd split $50 between 3, and we decided just to go $20 each. So it was a $60 pool this week. Congrats to the 3 different winners. I did notice a couple of them, I believe, have only been Pick'em, like the Coolbet CFL Pick'em players. I think one jumped in actually like when the season started for the CFL, and someone else actually jumped in last week. Was their first week. They picked up 25 points and grabbed a $20 bonus. So if you did play last week, if you did pick up 25 points, I believe there was 3 of you. Let me get the names so I don't.
I got them right here.
I don't.
Shout out to Eagle Eyes, and I know Eagle Eyes is a big poker player. Eagle Eyes is always in the poker spots as well. But also Dev Mick 8 and Tiny Tim, 2 new names on the list. So especially whoever came in first week and nailed it, nicely done. By the way,
Tiny Tim was first week, us.
Tiny Tim. So what a debut for Tiny Tim in the Pick'em. I'll have a chance to go at it. They all had 25 points last week. The leaderboard, Izzy still on top with 205, but it is tight. Skins 44, 5 back with 200. Tedley 2 and Cold Friesen with 195. And Rob Pepper at 190. I think Schnitzy, if I'm not mistaken, was just 20 back at 185. And I've got 10 points on Remus and 40 on you and Connor right now in our WST versus Coolbet internal leaderboard. So everything is up right now. We're going Thursday to Sunday this week. Love the fact, and what a game we've got. We'll hit that line in a minute. Sask and BC for the Sunday nighter, finishing up the weekend. Going to be great. So again, get those picks in. You can find it in the promotions tab. You can find it under Coolbet Leagues, bottom left corner under sports if you're on a desktop. All free. You just got to have an account. Go in, make your picks for the weekend, and we'll let you know who wins. And everyone chasing Izzy because the leader at the end of the regular season is going to be going to the Grey Cup. Coolbet sending them with airfare, hotel tickets for a great Grey Cup experience with Winnipeg Sports Talk. Speaking of those CFL lines, and there you have the chat. Yeah, there's Schnitzy, 185, Presson. Biggest line of the year. No surprise. You got the best team against the worst team with the best team at home. Montreal's 13-point favorites. We've got the Elks 5.5-point favorites against the Bombers. Hamilton 4.5-point dogs in Toronto against the Argos. And what's basically a pick'em between Saskatchewan and BC. I think that one opened at around 1.5 or 2 for Sask. And I think people are realizing just how banged up the Riders are. Obviously, BC's getting some momentum, so they are back. You know what? I didn't send this in. I don't know if you want to even write this down. I'm just going to tell people to pay attention to the Cool Bet exclusives for the CFL 110 parlay. Hammer and I cranked it out this morning, but I just realized I didn't send that to you, Jake. So we're gonna take Montreal. Now they're 13, so I guess we'll go minus 12.5 on this one. So Montreal minus 12.5. We're leaving the Bomber game off of the card. We're taking Hamilton plus 4.5. And we will go BC money line. So BC money line, Ticats plus 4.5, Alouettes minus 12.5. That will be the CFL 110 exclusive. So if you like those picks, hang tight. We'll get a better number. We'll put it for you in the exclusives to make that happen. And by the way, for you Bomber fans that think this is just the start of the turnaround, Bombers 15-1 to win the Grey Cup right now in the CFL futures. What's the buzz like in Toronto? The greatest show on the hard court coming to town tonight to take on the Toronto Tempo. Yes, of course, I did announce myself as WNBA guy over the last little bit. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hall, they were trying Canadian treats yesterday on Instagram. And tonight they take on the expansion Tempo. And I was wondering about this. I told you when I was in Vegas, the Aces usually play in whatever, UNLV or something like that. But when the Indiana Fever came in, they moved to T-Mobile Arena. And lo and behold, they're not at the Coca-Cola Coliseum tonight. The Tempo taking over the big court at Scotiabank because Caitlin Clark and the crew from the Indiana Fever are in town. Probably a pretty big buzz about this. This team draws a lot of attention wherever they go.
Yeah, I mean, listen, say what you want about the WNBA, say what you want about the Indiana Fever, but you can't say that the Fever and Caitlin Clark aren't the needle. Like, they absolutely move the needle in this league. If you're moving games to bigger stadiums when they're coming to town, they're the needle. So, a bit of excitement. My feed's been pretty loaded today with, some WNBA, content and stuff like that. I know there were some complaints about Rogers' internet as well. From one of the Tempo players, which went pretty viral today. I love that. It's a big game in town tonight. We've got props for the game. Connor's got it there. Tempo and Fever at Scotiabank Arena. It should be a fun one. Obviously, Indiana's really come on here as of late. I think they're really climbing up the odds boards, but I think there's still some value in Indiana. I don't know if we have futures open. We do. They're plus 850 right now to win the championship. Minnesota has had a great year. They're minus 105. We might have to get some sort of Eastern Conference odds up for the Fever.
Yeah.
See if they can get to the finals maybe and take on a team like the Lynx or the Aces.
A couple of interesting, I think a lot of people are going to be watching this game tonight. I'm sure it's on TSN. I haven't looked, but I'd be stunned if it wasn't. Caitlin Clark's point totals 24.5. Kelsey Mitchell, the other star from Indiana, is 25.5. Sophie Cunningham's been at it. She's 8.5, and the over is even money. And the Tempo star, Marina Mabry, over 19.5. You know what? I don't know. Have you guys ever done a same gamer for the for the
Have I personally? Can't say I have, us. Can't say
because
I have.
The line has just moved to plus 10.5 for the Tempo. And I actually do think this will be a huge game for them. They're an expansion team. We've seen this before where kind of the lesser teams really sort of get up for these big games. And, the Fever, they went into New York last week and beat the Liberty. They had that huge game on Sunday against Angel Reese in the Atlanta Dream. They looked pretty relaxed in the video yesterday, and I think they sort of go in. They want to take care of business. I actually like the Tempo plus 10.5 tonight. If that happens, I think Marina Mabry's probably going to get 20. And I think maybe a game like this is where more of a side player like Sophie Cunningham might get a couple more looks from 3. So what do we think about this? Tempo plus 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Mabry over 19.5. And Sophie Cunningham over 1.5 3-pointers.
Yeah, plus 550 I'm seeing in our same game parlay right now, Huss. I can juice that up for you if you'd like.
Yeah.
Add a little extra ride with Huss and the exclusives, and yeah, we can get that going.
Yeah. WNBA guy special. That's the throw that up. That would be a beauty. Again, Tempo plus 10.5, Marina Mabry over 19.5, and Sophie Cunningham over 2 3-pointers. That's the way I'm going to roll with it. So let's throw that up. I guess, would that be a combo card or would that be an exclusive, do you think?
Likely an exclusive, just with the just with some correlation there with the Mabry and the Tempo. So yeah, probably best we go exclusives for that one. And it'll be right next to your CFL 110.
Perfect. Either way, yeah. Let me know on that. I'll make sure to tweet out that because I think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to this game tonight. And I think if you haven't seen this, check this game out tonight. Like, I don't think it'll be crazy heated like some of the other games the Fever have had. But take a look at the crowd. I think it'll be massive. I do wonder about tickets for the Tempo for tonight's game. We should figure that out right now. But while we've got it, Jake, how pumped are you for NFL season and getting our best bets for the NFL Futures Board, of which there is a ton up right now before our big show on Thursday?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm overwhelmed. Obviously, sifting through all of these is going to be a good time, but a long time, I'm sure. And yeah, I'll make sure all my research is ready to go for our first WST winners on Thursday morning. Yeah, I'm obviously really excited for NFL season. I think the nice thing about the NFL is, everyone starts 0-0, and it feels like it can be anyone's season any given time. Obviously, you look at I'm a Patriots fan. You look at what the Pats did last year, obviously with a pretty easy schedule. What are they going to look like with obviously a tougher schedule this year? Are the Lions in a great bounce back territory? They've got a bit of an easier schedule. How many games are the Cardinals going to lose? I think they have the hardest schedule in football and probably one of the worst rosters in football as well. You look at injuries. I saw Breece Hall was going to be out a few weeks here. Yeah, just a lot to factor in as the season gets going here. So a lot to dive into, a lot to check out on the odds board, but there's definitely a way we can find some edges, whether it's overs, unders, divisional winners, conference winners, Super Bowl winners. Yeah, it's exciting. We're going to get to dive into everything, but yeah, I'm sure Connor's highlighting some sort of San Francisco prop there, if I had to guess. Chiefs under. He's a troll.
Yeah.
He's a total troll.
Chiefs under. I was highlighting the Niners NFC conference winner earlier. Yeah, there's some good ones. Yeah.
There he is. Connor's got it all figured out.
In the meantime, we'll get our picks. My favorite thing about this, and we've had, I don't know, maybe this goes back to Mahomes' first year when I had him to win the MVP preseason at 40-1, and he came through and did it. But I love the award winners, Rookie of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year. We'll have our favorite picks for those. You can get some big numbers. And I'm still riding with our WST winners preseason, Dylan C. Cy Young, which could come down to the final month and maybe a head-to-head matchup with Schlittler. Do we know whether they're both going on Friday yet for this series?
Schlittler looks to be confirmed. Still waiting to hear on Cease. I've been checking like by the hour to see. I really want them to go, but yeah, I don't know just yet.
By the way, just before we finish, I did fire up just wondering what Scotiabank is looking like right now for this game between the Fever and the Tempo. For all of you people that are not believing in the WNBA, you go to Ticketmaster right now. There is about, by my count, 20 standing room tickets only left in the building. And there are 6 seats in the lower bowl available at just over $330 each. and 4 seats on resale again for about $339. So that place is going to be packed tonight. It'll be interesting to see how that compares to, what the regular Raptor games are doing that. By the way, just before we go, and this is not really a betting related question at all, but you're in TO, you're locked in. So we found out yesterday that the NBA apparently doesn't think that the Clippers violated the salary cap. What's the word on Kawhi? Like, does that mean this Kawhi trade is going through, or is there more? I mean, the Raptors are basically paralyzed right now, waiting to find out whether this is happening or not.
Well, I was thinking today, Huss, imagine you're Brandon Ingram and you're just in limbo. Like, am I a Clipper or am I a Raptor? Like, I'm just sitting here waiting. I've already been traded. And then what? I got to come back and be a Raptor if I don't get moved? Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen anything on the timeline just yet, Huss. I imagine if that's the case, then the trade will go through. If Kawhi's not going to get any sort of punishment, or the Clippers aren't going to get any sort of punishment, I think we continue on. I've seen some pretty wild trade possibilities out there. People thinking the Raptors might go get Kyrie. I don't know if it's, build a team out of a bunch of old guys at this point. Kyrie hasn't done it in a long time in terms of winning championships or even contending for championships. I think bringing in Kawhi is a great move, but I think from there, you just got to build around him, use those young guys that you already have to try to prop this team up. The East is going to be tough this year, Huss. Like, there are so many big dogs in the East. There are so many good teams. You think about what Philly's done in the offseason. Boston will still be good. Giannis is on the Heat now. The Raptors are going to be in tough. The Cavaliers were good last year. Detroit was good last year. You got to find a way into that top 6, and then you go from there. You have a guy like Kawhi, who's still very efficient. If you look at what his numbers were last year with the Clippers when he's healthy, I still think there's a lot that can come with this team, but it's just you're gonna have to kind of see how it meshes throughout the year and see how many games Kawhi plays.
And first see if he's even on the team. Yeah, he can get Brandon Ingram and Grady Dick. Like, what are those guys doing right now? Who are they taking their marching orders from? I mean, it's a pretty bizarre season. Looking forward to talking to Patty tomorrow. We'll hit the golf and more, and then tee up Thursday morning, 10 a.m., the WST Winners NFL Futures Special, where we're going to get to all of our best bets for the upcoming NFL season. JBM, enjoy the game tonight. Let's see if the Jays can get an upset and start off the week like they did last week.
Yeah, and make sure you tune in Thursday morning. We're going to do a little sneak preview of what the NFL league is going to look like, similar to the CFL Pick'em. Might be a little bit bigger scale. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, trust us on that. We'll have details on the NFL Pick'em contest, and it is wild. That's Thursday, 10 a.m. right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk. JBM, have a great one, pal.
Yeah, thanks, Huss. Thanks, boys.
Good stuff. All right, great finish up to the program. But, despite the fact that he was besmirching my Chiefs while pulling up the NFL futures, let's get Connor in here, who has been busy. Great stuff today. We've had people think that we just show up at 1:00, chat for a bit and leave, but this has been a full day.
Yeah.
And I will say this, incredibly well done. Big day of producing for you. Fun CFL 110 this morning with Hammer. And then we talked to some people beforehand. You grabbed the bite. I banged out Lock Shop. And then this has been fun. Leibl was awesome. I mean, he's such
great.
A beauty.
Yeah, he was great. And Murat is always one of my favorite listens of the week. I even gave Pat the mod.
It's happened.
Yes, it has happened. The hashtag P Greggy for mod is no longer, because I took it upon myself to give Pat mod. So there we go. Pat's got mod. And hey, I was even looking at some NFL futures, and I just so happened to stumble across the Chiefs win total under, Huss. I don't know how that happened. My mouse was glitching.
Take that at your own peril.
It was there. So
take that at your own peril. Connor, fully part of the WST Winners crew for NFL season. So it'll be the four of us, and we are going to rapid fire through with our best bets for so many things. Win totals, divisions, my favorites. We'll be picking guys for MVP, DPOY, rookies of the year, all those things, trying to get some good numbers. And We're going to roll it all out with a really fun, I'd like to say hour. It'll probably go longer than that because we've got a lot to get to. But hang out with us 10 a.m. And I know the guys are in the chat. We will roll this out. But I was getting some little inside info, and the way, like the CFL contest has been so much fun and everyone's been into this. They're taking it to the next level. And as I say, they are surprising that if you get your picks in and you nail a few, you could be in for some something that frankly you won't believe. So that is a tease, as it were. So what's on your plate for tonight?
Jays. It's one of those weeknight days in August, right, where there's really not much going on. And credit to the Jays for making it interesting. You know, if they didn't go on this mini heater for the past couple of weeks, like this game would probably mean nothing and there'd be really nothing to watch because you're a WNBA guy. I'm not quite there yet, but
huge game tonight.
Tempo.
Well, just for Canada. The fever.
Look at the crowd, though. We brought up Ticketmaster while you were talking about it. Like, that place is going to be packed, so that's awesome to see. The support, for sure. And then just waiting for CFL this weekend. Love the slate. The Sunday night game, Riders Lions, I think is going to be an awesome one. That's going to be so good. So, yeah,
I love the. I'm actually. This is maybe the best. Like, I don't know if I could have slotted the games better for this week. Thursday. We'll bet on the game. We'll need Montreal to cover. Not a lot of suspense in the Thursday nighter. Jays will be playing. We'll follow that one. I love when the Bombers travel west on Friday night games.
Nice
8:30 start. 8:30 start.
Don't hate that.
I'm heading out with some of my buddies to the lake. Like, we should be there locked and loaded by 8 o'clock and be ready to go. Get the barbecue going. Crack a couple. Game on Friday. The game on Saturday, is it a night game or is that a 2 o'clocker?
I believe it's a night game in Toronto. It's 6 o'clock. Yeah, 6 o'clock. Perfect. Argos, Ticats.
Oh, no. I'm seeing 1:30 p.m.
Really?
Central.
I'm on Google. So
sorry. I'm on. That's the Labor Day game. What the hell am I talking about here?
Oh, there we go.
They're playing again. Yeah, you're right. 6 o'clock. So that's great because we're golfing in the afternoon. We'll still have a game on at night. And then you come back from a great weekend, trying not to do anything stupid on Sunday to borrow from the next week to pay for your weekend further. And that BC Sask game, basically a pick 'em right now.
Yeah.
I see why a lot of people are on BC. And to be honest, with third string running backs, I mean, we'll find out more about Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, if he's out and Schaefer, Baker, and Emilus remain out, as great as Trevor Harris has been and as good as that offense has looked, I mean, you're basically talking about all your top weapons being out. Mm-hmm. And that might be the break that the BC Lions need to keep it going and roll it to 4 in a row at home. And dude, they'd be at 5-5 after 10 games if they can win this game. And I don't think a lot of people had that considering the ugly start that the BC Lions had.
Yeah, and the way that this winning streak sort of started too, Huss, right? With them coming to Winnipeg and winning with Salter as their quarterback. We've discussed that game plenty. But yeah, I mean, that game, I think we could even see it move closer towards the Lions being an even bigger favorite. Like you said, if some of those Riders receivers are out, nothing against the Riders and like their long-term outlook for the rest of the season. But when it comes to this week, I mean, if you're hurt, you're hurt. And the BC Lions have the best run defense in the CFL, at least by yards per game. So it's a good matchup for BC. They're at home. They're on the fast track. They're healthier, which is weird to say because BC had been, on the opposite side of the health advantage for the first month of the season. But yeah, that's one I'm going to be watching. And up at Coolbet right now, Huss, as well, just before we get to your horse picks, Blue Jays to make the playoffs, plus 325 under MLB Futures. I'll be hopping on that.
Oh, I was just wondering. I was going to actually request.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to do that too. That'll be so much fun to be able to ride with it. By the way, Gold Eyes back on the road tonight. They're in Sioux Falls to play the Canaries, who they swept last week in Winnipeg. Fish minus 119 tonight. Canaries minus 111. And there you have it. That's just been added. Jays to make the playoffs. I'm going to get on that before we get going with the action tonight in the majors. And again, yeah, Gold Eyes tonight. If you want to add that to a ticket or two, maybe I'll play it one of the very rare American Association WNBA parlays. You don't see those very often.
You don't.
So we can do it.
You might be the first person to ever put those two things on a ticket.
Hey, listen, let's fire off some picks. Of course, Remus is away. Told him to get his picks in. I'm sure he will. But we're back at the track tonight. 7:30 post time. Some great fields in the late races today. I'm going to skip the first couple, and I'm going to race number 3. I'm going to go a $4 win bet on, just love this name, Unknown Caller. And Unknown Caller also has my guy Antonio Whitehall, top jockey out there. 8-1 opening line, and we'll see where it finishes. But we're on Unknown Caller, number 5 in race number 3. In race number 4, now this is kind of bizarre. They have the AI win percentage, and everyone is 0 except for number 10, Big Stride, which is 99.6. Now, Big Stride's only 3rd in the program selections. It's number 1 in the AI smart picks. Long story short, I wanted to take Thick with also Antonio Whitehall on it. But now seeing the way they're saying Big Stride, we're going to go an 8-10 exacta box. 8 and 10 to finish 1-2 or 2-1 either way. And then threw in a couple $1 triactor boxes. In race number 5, we're going with the first 3 horses. Paterson Landing. I thought that was close enough to Paterson, so I would jump on them.
Nice.
Paterson Landing. Number 2, She's My Niece. And number 3, Dancing Raquel. So 1, 2, 3 to finish in any order in the top 3. And the final one, this is a big race. This is actually program selections and the AI smart pick, so might not be a huge win. But number 3, one of our favorites, Remus will love it, Wrong Direction. 6, Jack Spring Break, who is the favorite, along with number 9, Funkenstein. Some great named horses tonight at the track. That's what I'm putting my 20 on. If you want to play remotely, you can go to hpibet.com for Assiniboia Downs and tracks around the world. And don't forget, Kirk and Stretch will get you ready for all the races on the Assiniboia Downs YouTube channel and keep you company throughout the evening if you do want to watch at home. I, in fact, have my first fantasy football auction tonight, Connor. Ooh. So I will have the Fever and the Tempo on, and then mix that in with some Blue Jays.
Yep.
I will have ASD on my YouTube, and I will hopefully be making some great picks. Have you ever done a fantasy auction?
Triple screening it. No, I have never, but I like the concept. Because you were telling me, I've talked to you about this before, but the concept is like a player gets nominated and then everyone gets to bid however much they want, where I have all of my fantasy leagues, and just where you're picking, you might not have the opportunity to take certain players. This way you have a chance at everyone. So if you have your guys, you can really pay up for your guys. So it's interesting. I've never done one, but I'd want to in the future. It sounds fun.
It is a great way. I was just telling you, I think with the success of the Media League, we may have to do a WST Invitational Fantasy Hockey League for this year. And I would like to, I'm going to see whether, like, what site we can do it through that will allow us to do an auction, because then there's no excuses. I couldn't get this guy, couldn't get that. Everyone starts with the same cap. Every player is a free agent. You start nominating them, you fill the rosters, and we take it from there. So
you're not outbidding me for Gabe Velarde. I'll just tell you that.
Well, that's okay. If we make it a keeper league, I'm going to put it all into Vigo Bjork.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, true. Good call.
Hey, great stuff today, Connor. Thanks to everyone that joined us on the pod and all of you. Some good stuff in the chat as always. Congratulations to Pat.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Pat on the mod.
When Remus comes back,
coming.
When Remus comes back next week, it might not be there anymore.
No, you know what? I think we'll just leave it. Remus is the one who won't do it, but if it ain't broke, Don't fix it. You've got other things to worry about. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Thursday morning. So join us then. Tomorrow on the program, I think we're going to get Jackson Tuchinski on, who, of course, just is returning from the World Flag Football Championships, where he won a bronze medal for Paul Appelese, booking Canada's ticket to the Olympics. I've been wanting to have him on for a while, so this is going to be great. We'll also get ready for the Manitoba Open. Pat's going to jump on, take a victory lap as mod. We'll make some golf picks, and I think we'll jump on with Brandon as well. So it should be a real fun show tomorrow. Make sure to join us. Thanks to Amber Mara, Jake Boland-Moss, Murat, and of course the incomparable Matt Leibl for joining us today. And great stuff by Connor as always. Folks, have a great night. I know it's kind of the dog days of summer, but there's some good stuff going on tonight. And we'll live and die with every pitch in this Blue Jays game. And for those of you that observe the WNBA, big one at Scotiabank tonight. That's going to do it for us. For Connor Hrabchak, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow on WST.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.